How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for this day.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by The Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
To control yourself!
And welcome back to Horror Queers. We're talking the bat signal is not a beeper. We're talking a gaggle, a swarm, a flock of frickin' Freuds. And we're talking it's so you and so you. And I'm Joe.
And I'm Trace, and we're talking I cannot sanction your buffoonery.
Wow, did you pick the most boring line you could think of for this movie?
It's not in the movie. Joey, do you not know this is what Tommy Lee Jones told Jim Carrey on the set of this movie?
No, but that's why I need your production history.
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay, well, actually, our guests have already jumped in, so I'm going to jump in and bring them in really quick.
Do it.
Everyone, you might recognize their voices because they are the hosts of Kill by Kill, a podcast that unpacks all the gory details of horror cinema's least discussed topic, the characters. You may also remember them from our episodes on, oh boy, The Quiet, Witchboard, Batman and Robin, Murder by Numbers, and the haunting 1999 edition.
Yeah, it's like every year, basically.
It really is, but please welcome back with loving open arms, Patrick Hamilton and Gena Radcliffe.
Greetings and salutations,
Hello.
Horror Queer.
Hello.
Coming back to the Schumacher train, I see.
They were not given a choice. This was
so
forced upon them.
This was not a buffet that we got to choose which entree we wanted to put on our plate.
I mean, you could have given us DC Cab, I suppose.
Right.
Okay, wait, I'm going to jump right into this. So, Gena, you said before we started recording that you love this movie.
I do.
Elaborate.
Mostly, well, you're really putting me on an embarrassing spot here.
No. No, a lot of people do love this movie.
That is true.
This is the Batman movie I watched the most as a child because I wasn't allowed to watch the Tim Burton ones because my mom did not like Batman Returns. So this was the VHS that I just watched a lot as a kid, and I think I just got tired of it after a while. So that's why I'm curious.
Yeah, see, I can't even use being a child as an excuse. I think I was 23 when this movie came out.
It's a great age to be consuming this movie.
No, I just think it's a really
It's fun
movie.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that I like about this I didn't like about Batman and Robin, and I'm not actually sure why. But there's just something, I mean, I think that about 75% of what makes this movie work for me is Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
And I think that he is just having so much fun. You know, he's playing the villain, a Batman villain, the way they should be played. Just like, you know, just pulling chunks of scenery off with his bare hands.
Oh, yes.
And I just like, you know, how colorful it is. And it's just a really fun movie. Now, yes, I cannot stand Chris O'Donnell.
Oh my god.
And I think that Val Kilmer is very pretty in it.
Sure.
But like really he's very, very subdued to the point that it's detrimental.
I'm so glad you mentioned Chris O'Donnell, because I know that Patrick does not like him either. I watched one of the vintage featurettes on my 4K of this movie, and it's narrated by Chris O'Donnell, who pops up like between segments, like with the Batmobile, and there's a moment where they're doing the segment on the Riddler, and like they're showing a bunch of like Carrey footage, and then it cuts to Chris O'Donnell, and he goes, and I thought I had a lot of energy, but like he says it just so like deadpan with no emotion to his voice, and I was like,
thought I had a lot of energy.
I mean, he does eat scenery, but he only eats the cardboard parts of it. I will say, in terms of looks, in terms of like, when was Chris O'Donnell his hottest? I would argue he is real eye candy in this movie.
Oh yeah.
But he has no charisma, though.
No, zero. I'm sorry. I wish he did, but this is one of those elements that simply passes me by. Whereas in terms of Val Kilmer, I would argue that he's one of the best Bruce Waynes we've ever had.
There it is. Yeah. I think he gets that a lot. Like, a lot of people don't love his Batman, and I think part of it is he's not doing the voice like Michael Keaton, so it's just really hard to transition between the two of them. But I think he plays rich douche billionaire real well.
I mean, I think his Batman's fine. He's just forced to deliver lines like, I'll get drive-through.
Yes, that's not helping.
Yeah, where this movie does suffer is in pretty much every single word that comes out of every character's mouth.
The dialogue is atrocious.
I'm actually really excited to hear y'all say that, because, I mean, the writing team on this movie, I was like, who are these people? Like, they didn't have anything to their name, really, and they just got this gig, but I have the story.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't you tell us about it?
Okay, if you insist. So, luckily, I forgot to mention, though, we are celebrating this film because it is its 30th anniversary.
Yes, in about a week.
Yeah, good lord. But I found most of this information from, I love it when I Google, like, movie title oral history, and there's one, like, right there from a reputable source. Hollywood Reporter, Batman Forever, the story behind the surprise hit nobody really wanted from 2015.
Wow.
Well,
softening expectations right out the gate.
There's a lot about how, like, no one expected this movie to do very well. It wasn't expected to be a big success. I'm like, but you spent $100 million on this movie you didn't expect to do very well?
Well, that was the time period, though. Like, the 90s, Hollywood was printing its own money. Like, they had no problem just putting out, $90 million for an adaptation of Congo.
Well,
where, and it's just like, they were much more willing to take a chance.
The other secret sauce to this movie that I don't think people anticipated when it was cast, but is absolutely a thing by the time it comes out, is that this is a Jim Carrey movie.
Yeah.
And he had 3 bangers back to back to back before this. And it had already prepped a comic book friendly audience with The Mask. So the audience I sat in the theater with was there because Jim Carrey was promised on the poster, and the rest of it came with the package.
Yeah.
So this is more like, the people that went to go see this movie were like, they were coming for the Jim Carrey movie, not the Batman movie.
Right. Audiences wanted Jim Carrey on a bright wall in a dark room. And if that meant going to see Batman Forever, that's what they were going to go see. And I think there's a lot of icing on that cake, but the cake they wanted a slice of contained Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Well, and let's not forget that there were a bunch of people who were burnt out by Tim Burton's dark Batman, right?
Well, so on the studio side, yes.
Okay.
So basically, this is the 3rd theatrically released Batman movie. Well, 4th if you count the 66 version with Adam West. But, we kind of went into a little bit in our Batman Returns episode as well as our Batman and Robin episode. But Batman Returns was met with a mixed reception, and a lot of parents were sent into a downward spiral with the film's violence and the Happy Meal toys that promoted it. I didn't know that McDonald's recalled their Batman line of toys after Batman Returns.
Most giant overreaction you've ever seen in your life.
Wild. Well, Batman Returns also fell short of Batman's $411 million worldwide gross by about $145 million, and it cost anywhere from $10 to $30 million more because the budget for Batman Returns is either $50 million to $80 million. I don't know why there's a gap there.
I think profit participation after the fact is added into the budget.
Right. Probably so. Well, so nevertheless, it was unsurprising that Warner Brothers wanted a change. So in the 4K anthology disc release of this thing, there's a documentary called Shadows of the Bat that's on all these things. And in this documentary that's paired with it, Burton, it has a bunch of interviews, obviously, and he says he was toying with the idea of, quote unquote, doing another one. He's not even saying Batman. He's just yeah, I'll just do another one of these things, I guess. But he went into Warner Brothers, had a meeting going, okay, well, I could do this, we could do that. And their reply was something like this. And I think this is paraphrasing, but Tim, don't you want to do a smaller movie now? Just something that's more you. And
Shuffle them off, boys.
30 minutes in this meeting, he was like, y'all don't want me to make another movie, do you? And they were like, no. We totally do.
We love
and he was
you, just not this. This isn't you anymore.
He was like, okay, I know you guys. I'll step back. I'll do a producing credit. So there was a mutual agreement to have this happen. Burton's going to still be involved, but only in a producer capacity and kind of approve all the changes being made. But I think at a certain point, he was like, fuck all. I mean, I'm out.
I'm collecting a paycheck. Goodbye.
Yeah.
So enter Joel Schumacher, then known mainly as the director of St. Elmo's Fire, The Lost Boys, and Flatliners. Warner Brothers hand-selected him while he was filming The Client in 1993, and I didn't really know why that was the case. I don't know what in Joel Schumacher's filmography they looked at and they said, that's the guy.
Yeah, I mean, if you've taken a look at his filmography, he is remarkably inconsistent.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
The kinds of movies that he directed. Yeah, you're right. There's no indication why they would have thought, hey, this is our guy.
I think he had a good relationship with the studio. He's a genuine journeyman, which means he can kind of do everything.
And he is a really good director.
Yeah, I think
he can be.
The Client in particular is, to be honest with you, my favorite of that series of Grisham movies. I think it is very well handled, very well acted, incredibly well paced. And it shows you that he can fit into a kind of movie, because there was a Grisham aesthetic that he was fitting the movie into. And so they're like, well, if he can do that. And I think Flatliners is what you look at as something that is pre this, that goes, oh, he could do something that's colorful, in that moods and emotions are gel colors to him.
Maybe it's also too that's kind of an all-star cast of people in Flatliners. So maybe it's also he can also work with stars.
Yeah. I think he gets along with studios. He gets along with actors. He produces product that's on time. And if you tell him, I want a Batman movie that's super toyetic, that's going to sell toys, that's going to have people walk out happy, that's going to be his goal.
Right.
Interesting. Well, okay, so then let's get to the writers. So this is husband and wife screenwriting team Lee Batchelor and Janet Scott Batchelor. And
oh yeah, super familiar. Love their work.
That's the thing. And so I was like, what? Okay, so this is what happened. They were hired to write the script after Warner Brothers had lost a bidding war for a spec script they had written called Smoke and Mirrors. It was going to be a biopic starring Sean Connery about one of the first stage magicians. And but Sean Connery got sick, so it fell through. But this was after Disney beat Warner Brothers in the bidding war for the script.
Okay.
Now, this film actually tried to get made again around 2001, and they were going to film in Morocco, but then 9/11 happened, and they couldn't shoot in Morocco anymore because it was a primarily Muslim country. So, anyway, so because of this fallout, though, Warner Brothers really wanted them. I guess their script was so good that they were like, y'all are great screenwriters. So they basically offered them a bunch of their film properties to write, including Wild Wild West, The Lone Ranger,
oh no,
and Lethal Weapon 4. And they turned all of them down, saying this isn't really us. And so finally, after multiple rounds of this, the studio comes to them and says, we're going to give you our biggest Warner Brothers asset. And at the time, because this is 95, this is 93-ish, they're like, Mel Gibson.
Fair.
But no, they said, we're going to offer you Batman. And I was like, I got to read this Smoke and Mirror script, y'all, because okay. Or maybe it was they were like, look, we need someone to write this Batman movie. Please come and write it. But anyway, so these bachelors,
Starring Chris O'Donnell.
Exactly. Yes. The sequel, the 25 years later sequel, The Bachelors.
Oh my God.
But the S is a $sign.
Yep. So they meet with Schumacher and Burton was sold on them when he basically asked them, like, what is Batman to you? And they said, Batman is about duality. You know, every character in Batman, sans for maybe Alfred, has duality to them. And this just made Burton light up like a Christmas tree. And he was like, okay, love it. This is like, y'all get it.
Now make an entire movie about it, down to every fucking doll that we see, down to every mirror shot. Like,
well, so, okay. Burton and Schumacher said, okay, we want to do two villains again, just like we did in Batman Returns, and we know we want to have Two-Face. And it was the Bachelors who suggested adding in the Riddler, but then Schumacher was like, oh, also, by the way, I want to add Robin. And I will say, Chris O'Donnell aside, I think a problem with the screenplay, there is so much crammed into this movie's 2-hour runtime, and I think it's fine to have two villains, but if you want two villains, you shouldn't also add a sidekick.
right.
You shouldn't also add a sidekick and a love interest.
Well,
and one of the villains has his own like little hench ladies that are like, they're on screen for about 12 seconons.
Truly.
But get first billing, in the beginning, the opening credits. And yeah, you're right. It is a very, very overstuffed plot.
Yes. Now, Schumacher liked the script that the Bachelors came up with, and this included like a different version of the Riddler that had a different name, that had like a mouse or something in it, like a whatever. But Schumacher thought it needed more tinkering because, I mean, not only that, but like this version also included the return of Catwoman and the introduction of the Scarecrow.
Oh, no. No.
Yeah, so he brings in the client screenwriter, Akiva Goldsman, who we've talked about many times, to do revisions. So, to solve the two-villain problem, and I'm putting solve in quotes here, they made it so that each of Bruce's personas had its own villain. So Two-Face is Batman's villain, and the Riddler is Bruce Wayne's villain. And when we get into the plot, I really want to talk about Two-Face's motive for going after Batman, because it makes no fucking sense. I didn't find anything, though, as to how they were going to solve the Robin problem, and I think that's because they never did.
No.
But without Burton also comes the question of what becomes of Michael Keaton, because throughout all of this, Michael Keaton was still planned to play Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Right.
And the other thing was apparently Rene Russo was cast as Chase Meridian in this. A movie original character, by the way, who I don't think has made her way into the comics since this.
Doesn't sound familiar, no.
But anyway, so at a certain point, and again, this is kind of like a lot of, it's almost like the Jodie Foster and Hannibal thing, where it's like there's a lot of different reasons as to why Michael Keaton might have left this movie. It just sounds like, in general, at a certain point, he didn't like the way the film was headed, and I think also just the fact that it's like, it's not Tim Burton doing this. It's not the same movie. This isn't my Batman anymore.
The whole style is completely different.
Yeah.
And of any movie which is overstuffing with two villains, two main henchmen, a new love interest, a new sidekick, the time for Bruce Wayne Batman gets shrunk and shrunk and shrunk. And this movie's grand invention is to say, when your parents die, turns out super sad.
Whoa.
Oh my God. Oh. Trace discovered something wild about these like repressed memory flashback things that we're seeing, which kind of broke it open for me.
Well, because I was like, wait. You're talking about these repressed dreams. Wasn't all of this already established in Tim Burton's Batman?
Yes, it was so many times.
That's one of the most irritating things to me about all the Batman movies is that they establish this over and over and over and over again.
This and fucking Spider-Man every goddamn time.
Yeah, it's like who's going into these movies completely unaware of Bruce Wayne's backstory.
I got to see them pearls hit the concrete.
Oh my God.
Gena,
the pearls and the roses again and again and again.
But this whole like bit of this plot part of this movie is like, oh, but there's something else about that night that Bruce repressed, and that's why he's having all these dreams, and we never learn.
Never get there.
Is this where the behind the scenes shots of him with the giant bat puppets come from?
Yes. So I'll just say it now. Basically, like, because we get this red journal of his dad's that we keep talking about. In the final cut of the movie, he's like, oh, well, I realized that my father was never going to write a journal entry again. What was cut out of this scene was that the last entry in his father's journal was, Bruce really wants to go see a movie tonight and Martha and I don't want to, or something like that. So it was like, oh, he's repressing the memory that it's his fault that his parents were murdered because they went for him.
Which is okay. It's not great, but also by removing that, we just get repetition that, as Gena said, we have seen countless times before. It's like, if you're going to cut that, then cut all of the fucking repressed dream memory things.
But the problem is, that's why Nicole Kidman's Chase Meridian is in this movie.
It's fine. He could just go and see her. Like, I'm getting weird riddles. Who do you think this is?
Right. She can still be the police psychologist. That's something that can still happen.
They could just meet at like a party or something.
Or because he's receiving riddles from the Riddler, he is taking those clues to her because she's involved with the police. Because the Riddler is targeting Bruce Wayne. Like, there's still ways around this, but they gotta carve out something for Val Kilmer to do, and this is what they come up with. And he doesn't get big bat hugs, which I think the movie is missing.
Well, and I will say, there's a lost, quote unquote, Schumacher cut of this movie that is like 2 hours and I want to say 40 minutes long.
Woo!
That has been floating around. I think Kevin Smith actually has a copy of it and screened it somewhere, but I just saw 3 days ago a theater in Santa Monica was trying to screen it and they got a cease and desist letter from Warner Brothers.
Of course they did.
Yeah, they're not.
Warner Brothers loves to do cease and desist letters.
Well, I just hope it means it's because they're trying to restore it.
No, they gave up on that like 2 years ago. They said definitively in 2023 that we're not redoing the Schumacher cut. They're not going back to fan demands anymore. They don't believe that's worth anything. This is the same studio that changed the name of their streaming platform 5 times.
Yeah.
And Patrick is still bitter about it.
I'm bitter. I'm not getting paid for it.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, okay. So while all of this stuff was going on, apparently like right after Keaton like turned down his $15 million paycheck, Schumacher had just watched Tombstone and really liked Val Kilmer's scene-stealing performance. And so he was like, oh, he'd make a really good Bruce Wayne. And that's about it on that story. That's how we got it.
There we go.
The rest of this cast, though. Okay. Tommy Lee Jones, which I was like, I keep forgetting. I was like, all right, Tommy Lee Jones is in The Client, so he already had that relationship with Schumacher. But he is sent the script by one of the producers, Peter McGregor Scott, who was Jones's friend after working with him on both Under Siege and The Fugitive. And in his words, this producer's words, Tommy Lee Jones is, quote unquote, a great guy, difficult, but wonderful. So he sends Jones the screenplay, and 2 hours later, Jones calls him back and goes, I don't get it.
Oh, bless him.
And he's like, well, reread the fucking thing. And remember that Two-Face is going to be played by Academy Award-winning actor Tommy Lee Jones, playing fucking Two-Face. And so Jones, like a few hours later, Jones called him back and was like, okay, I'll do it. But he also had to endure being in the makeup chair for 3 hours every morning at 4 or 5 a.m. and made him more cranky, which I didn't know this. Rick Baker did the prosthetics makeup.
Ooh, okay.
I like it. I think it
looks good. Yeah.
It's a statement piece. They are going for something, and they are going for the tone and look that they want out of this, which is more comic book than you were getting out of the previous 2 films.
It's big.
But even if you go back and look at Two-Face, and like, I guess for me, like the Two-Face design I've never really liked because it just looks like he painted like purple paint on his face. It doesn't look like scar. I mean, there is scar makeup under there, but it doesn't look realistic enough, which I guess is the comic bookness of it all. But a lot of Two-Face's drawings in the comics, even in the early years, were pretty gross looking.
But they're not going to go for realism. They're not going to go for more complex. They're not going to go for anything that scares the parents because of the aftermath of the Great McDonald's Happy Meal incident of 1992.
Right.
Yeah. So, okay, I love this. In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Schumacher said that Kilmer was both childish and impossible. In a later article, he admitted it was a mistake to cast Kilmer and Jones when he knew they were famously difficult, saying, I was told that Val was difficult and wasn't right for me. I'm tired of defending overpaid, overprivileged actors, and I pray I don't work with them again. Which, for him to say that also about Jones, I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, I think they're just big, strong personalities, right?
I think that's true. And I think that Jones in particular has an aesthetic and a level that he wants to hit, whereas Val Kilmer likes to create chaos and make creativity come out of that chaos. And I think both of them together in one set is probably a lot of trouble.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you've got the scene stealer.
Well, and that's the thing. Like basically, Jim Carrey gets hired after, by the way, Robin Williams was supposed to play this character. So,
oh yeah, they were talking. Going back to when the Tim Burton first Batman was in process, they were floating Robin Williams to be involved in it in some capacity from like the very beginning.
Like Joker, maybe.
Well, and so when the Bachelors were writing the script, they wrote it thinking Robin Williams is going to be this role. So they wrote it like with Robin's voice in mind.
Oh, interesting.
Now, the thing is, he read the script, he loved it, but just didn't make the deal. Like, his team kept just shying out or delaying things or whatever, to the point where Schumacher just went, all right, we're moving on. Yeah. And they nabbed Jim Carrey, who very much did their script, although in their words, he did it just a little less Robin Williams. It was a little more straight, which I was like,
what?
Really?
That is so funny because his entire performance feels like a series of ad-libs to me. Like, I would have seriously doubted that this was written on the page.
Yeah, it feels like him.
Yeah.
I think he's plussing up things as he goes. They're probably doing multiple takes.
Oh, yeah.
And he is adding inflections. He is making it his own.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, his vibe isn't that far afield of Robin Williams. They don't sound like one another, but the energy they're going to give is not that far off of
yeah.
sections on a dial.
They're both exceedingly manic.
Yes. Yeah.
So the thing between Carrey and Jones. So basically, he gets hired, and I guess he goes to a restaurant at some point. This is Carrey, and someone's like, "Oh yeah, like your co-star Tommy Lee Jones is over there in the corner." And so Jim Carrey's like, "Cool, I'm gonna go say hi." And this is a direct quote from Carrey in an IndieWire piece from 2017. So he says, I went over and I said, "Hey Tommy, how you doing?" And the blood just drained from his face like he had been thinking about me for 24 hours a day. He started shaking and he got up. He must have been in mid-kill me fantasy or something like that. He went to hug me and he said, "I hate you. I really don't like you." And I said, "Gee, man, what's the problem?" And I pulled up a chair, which probably wasn't smart. And he said, "I cannot sanction your buffoonery." I can't believe you've never heard this joke. I remember like this was like the talk of the
I'm
town.
actually surprised. I'm surprised you never heard this either. This is classic.
I knew that they had difficulties, but I thought that it was just a set with a lot of just really big personalities. So,
well, it is, and I think that that this Tommy Lee Jones just didn't really want to deal with his antics.
Yeah,
that's exactly it.
And I think he knows from how this is going that Carrey is just gonna kind of steal the movie from underneath him.
Yeah,
because Carrey has a take, and I wholeheartedly believe that Jones does not. He is doing his Under Siege character in makeup.
Well, the problem is, though, and again, this is that whole like too many things in one movie. Two-Face's origin is saved for a 2-second news footage for like between films narrative.
Yeah.
And I think it's very weird that you would give Riddler the main origin thrust here and not Two-Face. When that but we're not interested in characters here, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got two villains, but again, 65% of the plot focuses on one of the villains.
Yeah.
Because in essence, Two-Face has the criminal engine that the Riddler lacks. And so he comes in there and says, "Hey, listen, I can gain you information and you have the muscle. And between the two of us, we can accomplish both of our goals."
Yeah.
But for that to happen, Two-Face has to be an ongoing concern from the moment the movie begins.
It's funny because it makes sense in theory, right? Like, it's the exact same dynamic that we have with Catwoman and the Penguin in Batman Returns. It's just Danny DeVito and Michelle Pfeiffer were both able to hold their own. Like, they carved out different kind of niches to make their characters distinct. And I think, unfortunately, Tommy Lee Jones, I don't even think he's playing it super big, but he is trying to go a little bit big and campy. And he just gets eaten up and swallowed by Jim Carrey because he's not distinct enough.
But a big difference, though, is that Batman Returns at least gives the entire, like, pre-title card sequence to Penguin's origin.
Sure.
So he still gets an origin story, whereas we don't. We get, oh, yeah, that time Harvey Dent was acided by Sal Maroni on the stand, and Batman didn't save him, and so now he wants to kill Batman because he didn't save him in time.
If they had put that sequence pre-credits, even if he gave it 3 minutes, you would have saved yourself a lot of confusion, and it wouldn't have felt so shoehorned in.
Yeah, it's interesting that they think that they need to have to recap the audience what happened to Bruce Wayne's parents, but then not really go into this relationship between Harvey Dent and Bruce Wayne.
No, hold on, Gina. This is new information. Something has happened to Bruce Wayne's
parents. Well, let me tell you, a long time ago.
Does it involve pearls and roses?
They went to the movies.
Oh, no. They didn't go into Crime Alley, did they?
The moral of the story, never take your children anywhere.
Truly. Or just don't have them.
Well, don't go see Zorro, whatever the fuck. That's a sure thing. Okay. We also have Chris O'Donnell's Robin, as we've discussed. Now, but here, important to remember, this could have and probably should have been Marlon Wayans, because during pre-production for Batman Returns, Burton wanted to include Robin, which he saw as a young Marlon Wayans, which would have been a really...
So different.
Well, it's also like you have a black Robin, like headlining your Batman movie. That'd be awesome. But as that film started to become overstuffed with villains, Burton had to remove pieces of the puzzle, and one of those casualties was Robin's role, which was cut with the intention of including him in Burton's third film. When Schumacher took over the reins, Wayans was let go and replaced with Chris O'Donnell. But here's the thing. Wayans, who had signed contracts for this role, and because of that, still gets residual checks for Batman Forever.
Well, good for him.
He's a pay-or-play deal.
Good for him.
That's got to take a bit of the sting out.
But, okay, why Chris O'Donnell? Why are we going in a different direction? And
hot and
I was
white.
going to say because he was a big thing. He was the next big thing.
Well, but here's the thing. They did a nationwide search for Robin. And Schumacher even says, we even did a day in London where I watched Ewan McGregor, Alan Cumming, Jude Law, Toby Stephens, and many more Brits audition. But they also kept trying to show me younger people, like teenagers. And I wanted someone who looked older. And I just saw Chris O'Donnell. And I knew it had to be him. And I was like, okay.
I mean, directors who want to fuck their stars. Page 101.
Yeah, he was young and hot. I don't think it went any deeper than that. It's just that's all it was.
I think this is something we addressed in Batman and Robin too, because it's worse there. But like, Robin is a child in the comics, and these movies still write him like a child.
But he's clearly a mid-20 to late 20-something man.
Yeah, he's like 25 years old and being like, I don't listen to you. You're not my dad.
But I think he's supposed to be 17 though, because doesn't he talk to Bruce about like, the social services or whatever people?
And you're just like, why would social services be coming after this grown-ass man?
I don't know, like where was like Leonardo DiCaprio when they were casting this?
Oh, no. So they went to him and he didn't want to do it. He turned it down because he hadn't done Titanic yet, and he was like, this was too big of a film that I wasn't ready for, so he turned it down.
Interesting. Also, you mentioned Alan Cumming, and all I can think about is like, what does Alan Cumming look like in this movie?
So, I don't know.
I just want to say here that Schumacher ejected not one, but 2 black actors from this film. Because not only is Marlon Wayans sent packing with his pay-or-play deal, but Billy D. Williams plays the Harvey role in the original Batman, and was part of his contract to be Two-Face by the third movie. And
So apparently that's the thing. He did not have a contract for a third movie.
He did not have a contract.
It was a mutually understood agreement between him and Burton. Sure. But because I guess he wasn't in Batman Returns, there was not a deal signed beyond the first film.
But it is a little...
yeah.
The sniff test here is that I can't have major black actors on my front card. And when black actors do show up, they're in vogue and they're playing sex
workers.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Which Trace, it's an R&B group from the 90s that you may not recognize.
Who is it?
No, it's On Vogue. That's the name of the group.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Oh my God.
Oh, no.
Once again, folks, famously, Trace does not know music.
He doesn't know music, he's just very, very young.
Sure, we'll go with
Because
both.
I'm like that meme right now, the old man like clutching his chest, like.
I was I was listening to whatever my dad was listening to at the time, so I was listening to a lot of Madonna and Expose and Gloria
How did
Estefan.
Free Your Mind never cross your path if he's listening to these other groups?
Here's the thing: it very well may have, and I can guarantee you, if you play me whatever that song is, I will know. I will know it as soon as I hear it, but I never associate it with the band In Vogue.
There we go.
My sexual awakening happened to a couple of their videos. I'll tell you that right now. And Dawn still has a piece of my heart. Do not tell my wife this.
Good thing you're not saying it on a podcast or anything.
Yeah.
Oh shit, we're recording this?
Okay, last piece of the cast though. For Chase Meridian, again, we had Rene Russo, but when Keaton dropped out and we went for a younger Bruce Wayne, they were like, "Oh, Russo, you are too old," and they got Nicole Kidman. To which I was like, is she that much older than Nicole? I mean, I guess Nicole Kidman was in her early 20s during this movie.
Young, yeah.
She looks so young. She looks younger than Chris O'Donnell. Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not getting a lot of. Okay, I'll retract.
No. She looks. I mean, I would agree that she looks younger than him.
Yeah. I don't know. She kind of gives us some femme fatale in this movie, which I think gives her.
Sure.
You know what it is? She is more mature in this movie, which makes her look older than him.
I mean, Patrick, if you want to talk about sexual awakenings, this movie was a problem. It delayed my coming out by a couple of years because something about her hair in this movie is just so
the hair, like the
good.
90s Nicole Kidman hair is just like unimpeachable.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, okay, so fun fact, Nicole Kidman is 3 years older than Chris O'Donnell and 13 years younger than Rene Russo.
Okay, so we said younger, we went younger. All right.
Yeah. Okay. With the cast assembled and the script in decent enough shape, Batman Forever began filming in September of 1994, and this thing was massive. Like, basically, they couldn't fit anything they wanted on the Warner Brothers set, so they had to find, like, everything outside. But, like, they created their own manufacturing warehouse to make the suits, using large and expensive pieces of equipment, like an oven, to actually heat up the rubber and create these shapes. They made about 75 different suits for this film, which took up,
holy cow,
I'm believing, a good chunk of this $100 million budget.
It's a lot, yeah. I mean, I think the cars, the gadgets, these sets are big too, so.
Well, and these sets. Okay, so obviously this Gotham City looks a little bit different than Tim Burton's Gotham City. And Schumacher's eye added a lot of, shall we say, flair to the proceedings. According to cinematographer Stephen Goldblatt, Schumacher really wanted to literally make it comic book looking. So he says, oh yeah, Schumacher was as happy as the day is long as soon as he saw bright colors and homoerotic posing and all of that kind of stuff.
The infamous bat butt makes its debut in this movie.
But then for production design, so I do think this, like, both this and Batman Returns, I really do love the way these movies look. Like, you just don't see a lot of movies look like, even comic book movies look like this anymore. And I think a big part of it is because all of it's real. So, like, this is 1995, so most of the effects were done without the use of CGI. And I think that when they are used, it's pretty obvious. Like, a lot of the Batmobile chases are CGI.
Right.
But for production design, they bring in production designer Barbara Ling, who at this time, this is weird, was mainly known for her work in Less Than Zero and Fried Green Tomatoes.
Sure.
Here's the thing. She would go on to win the Best Production Design Oscar for Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And weirdly enough, though, I had to look up her filmography. So between Batman and Robin in 1997 and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in 2019, she only worked on 4 films, and they were all films from the same director.
Who?
The director was Scott Hicks, but we're looking at Hearts in Atlantis, the Stephen King adaptation. No Reservations, the Catherine Zeta-Jones and Aaron Eckhart restaurant rom-com.
Oh, no.
The Lucky One, the Nicholas Sparks adaptation with Zac Efron. And something called Fallen, but not the good one, with Addison Timlin.
I don't know who that
and Jeremy Irvine.
So what we're hearing is not the Denzel one.
Well, not the Denzel one, but I guess she's friends with this guy. But then she comes back with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and wins an Oscar. So
there we go.
I just was curious if maybe her work on the Batman films caused her to not get more work after that.
or this, it was such a specific style that just didn't really work with anything else anybody wanted to do.
Yeah. This feels like, because I think Schumacher picked her, so I think this is a Schumacher friend. But because I was like, what in fried green tomatoes and less than zero makes you think that she can do this movie for you? Not to say, I mean, again, I think she does a bang up job. I love the production design of this movie.
Perhaps it's the pitch. She made a pitch of how she wanted it to be viewed with these giant fountainhead like, structures. And he's like, yeah, we'll just go bigger. We'll go grander. We'll go campier. And to a degree, it works.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely helps to establish that he is not Tim Burton, right? Like, he clearly takes echoes of certain things from the production design of Batman and Batman Returns, but then he does put his own spin on it. And I think that's one of the things, I mean, love it or hate it, you can always tell which Schumacher version you're watching as opposed to which Burton one you're watching.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah. Well, this movie opens on June 16th, 1995, and it is the only new wide release that week, following on the heels of Congo's release the week before, by the way.
Oh, Gena.
I did not see Congo in the theater. I did see this in the theater.
Oh,
though.
I did. This was prime summer movie-going season. I was watching everything. Oh my God. Congo.
So here's the thing. Batman Forever lands in the number one spot to a domestic gross of $52.7 million, overtaking Jurassic Park's record for having the highest opening weekend gross of all time. And for 6 years, it had the largest opening for Warner Brothers up until 2001 when Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone came out. But Batman Forever also achieved the highest June opening weekend, which it held until Austin Powers' The Spy Who Shagged Me came out in 1999. It was the first film to gross $20 million in one day on its opening day Friday. It goes on to gross $184 million domestically and $152 million internationally for a worldwide gross of $336 million, which topped Batman Returns by $70 million, but fell short of Batman's gross by $75 million.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of that is that while Batman works overseas, a lot of the script and a lot of this marketing is depending on Jim Carrey, who hadn't broken this big international. I think this is his first truly big international release.
Right.
Yeah.
And typically comedies don't perform as well outside of North America, so that definitely makes sense, whereas a Batman film is more universal.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. So in my mind, because again, I grew up watching this on VHS all the time, and so I always thought that this was considered like one of the best Batman movies ever.
No.
But here's the thing, though. Because the reaction to Batman Returns was so negative, Schumacher personally had to meet with distributors around the world to get them to carry this film because no one wanted to after Batman Returns. And so this included a lot of toy companies who turned their noses up at the project because of that Batman Returns backlash. But because of all this success, the ones that did sign on, like Hasbro and Walmart, cleaned the fuck up.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course the funny thing is when Batman and Robin came out, of course now everybody wanted to get on board with that, and then you have toy companies making toys for things that didn't actually show up in the movie, just like things that were completely unassociated with anything that happens in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I got, Joe.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, the film begins with our new Batman, played by Val Kilmer, and he is suiting up and immediately declining a sandwich from Alfred.
Can I also just make note that Chris O'Donnell gets billed after Nicole Kidman?
I mean,
I'm just saying it's Robin versus Dr. Chase Meridian.
I think by that
but
point,
she's an established property.
by that point she was the bigger star.
Yeah.
I guess To Die For was the year before this.
And things like Far and Away and stuff had already come out, right? Like she was associated with Tom Cruise. So
I was just thinking about her Oscar nomination, I think, for To Die For.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that that's going to get your name above the marquee on a Batman movie.
In terms of like an agency package,
right?
She probably has the bigger agent. She probably has the bigger push. Warner Brothers wants to keep her happier than they would Chris O'Donnell at this point.
That's true.
Right.
Also, I'm totally wrong. To Die For comes out like 3 months after this movie.
Oh, okay. Good year for her.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason I bring up the sandwich is because if you remember the McDonald's commercials, this was part of it. So we will see the golden arches during the Batmobile chase sequence. But basically when he says, I don't want the sandwich, Alfred. He goes, I'll get drive-through. And then in the commercial, he would go and get McDonald's.
There was a themed burger, too.
Oh, my God.
But straight to jail. Straight to jail.
Okay, so he hits the road in, yes, a new Batmobile, and then we cut to the second bank of Gotham, where we are introduced to Harvey Two-Face Dent, played by Tommy Lee Jones. He is monologuing about luck and doing his coin toss, which is basically the only thing the character will do for most of the film. But I do enjoy this as an introduction, and I think... Hawkins, the security guy who is played by Joe Grafassi, he's playing it big, right? Like, this is an immediate tonal change from the Burton film. So, like, this is very much cueing us as an audience. Okay, everything is going to be more slapsticky and more cartoony, and you're going to get performances like this security guy going, oh no, it's boiling acid!
That's the only thing I hear when I think about this movie. Oh no, it's boiling acid is something I remember from my viewing in the theater.
Yeah.
It just seared itself on my brain.
It's like Who Framed Roger Rabbit called. They want their comments about, oh my God, it's death! Anyway, okay, so we cut down to the street level. This is our introduction to abnormal personality doctor, aka Dr. Hottie Wants to Fuck, Chase Meridian, played by Nicole Kidman. She immediately starts flirting with bats over his hot entrance, and you're just like, lady, your panties are on
Oh my
fire.
God.
You are so horny.
She's
so horny.
so thirsty for him, like the minute he appears on screen.
I really like this character, though, and I really like
it's
Kidman's
great.
acting in this scene. Like, actually, this whole movie. I think Kidman's one of the stronger aspects of this movie.
Oh, 100%.
1,000%. Yes,
Yeah.
agreed.
Yeah.
I do want to say though, by the way, this cityscape we're on, like we're looking at this big ass street. This is actually Wall Street that is lit up about 20 to 30 stories, and they would use an old fashioned crane to get the Batmobile coming in. But it's like you wouldn't see Wall Street shut down to be lit for 20 to 30 stories up in the air nowadays.
No, that's big money.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez. Okay, so Batman is obviously intrigued by this random lady who's like, I swear I'm a doctor, but also let's fuck. So he leaves her be for a moment so that he can go and get lured into this trap, yes, with Hawkins. It's kind of a cool set piece. I just love how bad Two-Face is. Like, every single time he thinks that he's going to be able to lure Batman into a trap, and then he doesn't, and he's like, oh, I suck.
I mean, I think that's kind of the thing, though, is I think Two-Face should be, and normally is, the more threatening foe of Batman between him and the Riddler, and I just don't think Two-Face is that threatening in this movie.
Not at all.
No.
He seems like a low-rent gangster.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do kind of like this opening set piece. Again, we're setting the tone. We're starting the movie off on an exciting bit. So, vault full of acid. We've got to save the regular person who is trapped in here with us. We've got a helicopter. We're flying through the city. Do I need this guy yelling, hey, that's my hearing aid? Just like, Jesus fucking Christ, guy. Do you want to get out of this boiling acid vault or no?
Also, wouldn't you rather not hear your skin sizzle off?
Yeah.
Sure. Why does it have to be boiling is my main question. Does that make it worse? Because I think acid in and of itself is not what I would like to dip into. Like, oh, but this one's hot. Like, oh, okay. Now I'm really scared. Okay.
What about when he saves this guard by sending the safe flying back into its slot? And I wrote my notes.
Where's
all
the acid?
This guard would have flown off of this safe.
We do not come to Batman Forever for realism. This is not something we're buying tickets for. Like, this one better make sense logically. Otherwise, I'm walking out. That person did not buy a ticket.
Yeah. I mean, the edit between Batman watching as this helicopter, which everyone else has escaped off of, going into the Gotham Statue of Liberty, like we see the helicopter blades cutting into the statue's face, and we see him jump out, and you're just like, no, he is exploded right now.
Okay, but I'm gonna tell you right now, as stupid and hacky and gimmicky as it is, I kind of never get tired of all of Two-Face's duality stuff. Like, his parachute is a red and black yin yang.
Yes. He has a brand and he sticks to it. He should have gone into marketing, if we're being honest, right?
I mean, honestly, his lair, which I wish we would have spent more time in, is cool.
Yeah. There's a couple of sets on here where I just think, you spent a ton of money on this, and then we spend maybe one scene in it, and it's wild. Like, as we said, the money is just flowing on this set. Okay, so we follow Bruce Wayne the next day to the electronics division of Wayne Enterprises. This is where he is introduced by the floorman, Fred Stickley, who is played by Ed Begley Jr.
Uncredited, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, weird.
He only gets credit when he doesn't have a mustache. Mustache on, no credit.
It's like he's incognito.
Yeah.
He is great. This is one of those performances where it's a touch of camp, but also he's playing it sort of straight lace in his scenes with Jim Carrey. So very much understood the assignment tonally. And then we get to queer-coded obsessive Edward Nygma, played by Jim Carrey, and he is all about this project that manipulates brainwaves, and he is so in love with Bruce Wayne, he just wants to be with him, he wants him to sign off on things so that they can work together, he can't take no for an answer, and it's going to be a problem, because when you say manipulating brainwaves to a millionaire, they turn you down? Oh, this movie's really not set in reality.
I was gonna say, this is, you could tell that this is not a contemporary piece.
I actually have a question. Like, so basically this is just, okay, instead of watching TV on a screen, you're just like seeing it in your mind's eye?
It's like 3D, basically.
It's 3D.
You're just in it.
Okay.
That's it.
But then he builds on the technology over the course of the movie, because the side effect of someone using the box is that he is able to access their brainwaves and increase his own intelligence. So it goes from 3D to you're living in the television to creating real life virtual reality. Everything is bounced up and up and up and up.
I will say, though, I really want to know the timeline of this movie, because from him meeting up with Two-Face saying, hey, make my thing really popular, it's like the next scene, oh, every house in Gotham has a box. I was like, the FCC let all this go by? Like,
DC Universe doesn't have an FCC.
It plays a bit like a Willy Wonka kind of thing, where you're just like, we're going to do this contest. And then the next day, every bar of chocolate in the world has a potential golden ticket in it. You're just like, where did all these boxes come from? When did they get manufactured? Does Gotham have like a manufacturing district, or are we not outsourcing to China like in real life? Okay.
These are all logic issues that make sense in a Nolan universe, but at this point they just don't care, because Schumacher, before they started a scene, would yell, remember, this is a comic book, meaning there's no tether to reality here. We're making a comic book.
Yeah, it's children's entertainment, especially in 95, right? Like, this is a movie for the kids.
If only Batman and Robin gave Uma Thurman the same treatment that Batman Forever gives the Riddler and Jim Carrey in this movie.
Right.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I think the problem is that they give it to Arnold, and unfortunately, Arnold can't deliver it in the same capacity.
I mean, there's so many structural complications, and we went through this, but like, that particular character is supposed to be buttoned up and on ice. He can't deliver that level of, to be true to the character he's been sold, he's going to give. So at least here, Jim Carrey's like, well, I'm going to show up and be Jim Carrey. And everyone's like, well, that's proved to be very profitable for the past 2 years. So you go for it.
We would like to ride that money train, please.
I do want to say for the record, Jim Carrey sweating underneath his original Enigma wig is the most seen I've ever been on a movie screen. He's like, there's so many fucking lights. There's something on my head. Oh, Jesus. Am I sweating? He's like, roll with it, baby. And they do not mop it off his neck. It's just in rivets coming down on screen.
I think it looks appropriate to the character, though, because he's just a neurotic mess.
Also in character, the woman in a halter top, miniskirt, and purple hair working at Wayne Enterprises. I want in on this fucking office. It sounds cool.
Well, also, like, there's this point where Fred, I think, orders everybody back to work after Bruce Wayne leaves, and you look out the window and it looks like it's midnight. Like, can we get some human rights violations into this? Because what the fuck are the working hours
Joe,
here?
you keep pushing for reality in Gotham City. Where are they manufacturing these televisions?
Joe, are you secretly my mom? Because, again, her main problem with Batman movies are, quote unquote, they all take place at night.
Truly, it's giving me Dark City / Saw City vibes where it's like, does Gotham see a ray of sunshine ever?
No. Why would they need sunshine? They have all that neon.
That's
True.
Right.
Yes, it's all
They have so much
dark.
neon, they're putting in their Tommy gun magazines.
I love it.
I mean, I'm sure there's a comic book storyline somewhere where someone trying to turn off the sun. So I think that happened.
Oh, sure. Yeah. That sounds like a Superman story. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Bruce Wayne turns Edward Nygma down because he has actually seen the bat signals projected into the sky. So he goes to check it out. It's actually just a sexy emergency for horny Dr. Chase. And this is our one and only reference to Catwoman in the film, is when she mentions, ooh, I know you like difficult women or complicated women. And you're like, yeah, okay, we get it. You're making that reference. So,
well, doesn't she say, what does it take to get into Batman? Like a skin tight latex and a whip?
Yeah. All right, so back at Wayne Enterprises, this is where Edward Nygma discovers a surprising side effect of his new invention, so he ends up testing it on Stickley when his boss pisses him off, and then when Fred threatens to expose him, well, this is when Edward Nygma throws him out a window into a waterfall?
It's a dam, I think?
The plan?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, is this a hydroelectric damn thing? It's so perplexing. The geography is very confusing to me.
There is no city map of Gotham. It's just an endless, maze. It's like that one artist who has staircases that go in all directions.
Oh yeah,
That's
Enter the Leviathan. We've renamed it Gotham City. Okay, so Trace, your favorite scene is up. This is our 2-second backstory on Harvey Dent before he became Two-Face. So Bruce is watching old footage, and this is just a news story that, yes, he was in court and he got splashed with acid on half of his face. And then it's like, cool, have you got it? Because the movie is moving on.
Yeah.
We need to go back to Edward Nygma.
It's like, I hope you're paying attention.
I'm just saying, okay, like, I get the idea it's supposed to be that Harvey Dent is so insane by this point, like at least on the bad side, like he just is going to go after Bruce. But his whole MO that the movie tells us is, he's just so mad that Batman didn't save him that he's going after him. And that to me is not a good enough like villain motive.
Doesn't hold weight, does it?
I don't know.
It's also, I mean, this is the kind of thing where, as somebody who watches a lot of YA properties, I could see this as an excuse for radical personality change where you're like, oh, it's a cosmetic thing, but it's happening at a time where I'm very sensitive. I've got a lot of hormones. I'm still an adolescent. But this idea that he like gets burned, and yeah, it's not great, but like he doesn't have brain damage. It's not like anything else has changed.
They say it's the trauma that led him to create us, which all makes sense. But here's the thing. Do y'all ever think Tommy Lee Jones has two different personalities in this movie?
No.
There are times when he speaks in a more literate manner, that of a stand-up prosecutor. Mm-hmm. And then obviously the vast majority of the time he's cackling like he's on methamphetamine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in terms of the psychology, they don't say this, but he blocks half of the acid with the file that he's prosecuting Maroney with. And so, yes, half of him is still this prosecutor, and the other half has basically replaced Maroney as the lead gangster in town. Now, they don't say that, but my incremental comic book mind is filling in this nonsense, so the movie doesn't have to.
It's like a projection.
I guess it just seems like such a missed opportunity to take a character like Two-Face, which has just such a rich history, and especially with Harvey Dent's relationship to Bruce Wayne, and just not use any of it.
Yeah.
I think they're so addicted to the idea of resurrecting the Batman 66 aesthetic that they're not worried about that. They're like, it's been dour and it's been too sexy and it's been weird. Now we're going to resurrect Batman 66. And the only thing that does not make an appearance in this movie is a Batusi.
You know, they thought about it. You know that they did.
Oh, they were dying to come up with a reference.
Schumacher was like, how can we fit it in? Folks, I need you on this. Okay, so we go back to Wayne Enterprises to investigate the death of Fred out the hydroelectric dam, and it appears to be a suicide because Edward has faked both a note as well as somehow altered the security footage.
It's deep fake 1995 edition. I also love, I don't know if this is actually Ed Begley Jr. doing this run and screaming, but he's just like, wah! It just like runs out the window.
It's super fun. I love it. I needed more of this character in the movie, to be honest.
The suicide note is just goodbye cruel world, but it has like the email like to from my suicide.
Mm-hmm. Like, and this is the kind of stuff where you think, that's dumb, that's fun, that's a bit playful, but then you immediately get hit with absolute fucking clunkers. Like, there's this woman, so it's Bruce Wayne appearing as a concerned boss, you know, okay, we're going to give this man who died by suicide full benefits, even though the company policy is such, but then he gets this riddle, and he opens it up, and there's this woman who appears beside him, and she goes, who would send you a riddle? And he goes, that is the riddle. And I just go, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I mean, the dialogue in this is just, it's unforgivable.
Well,
it's terrible.
And that's where I have to say, like, how much of this is Bachelor dialogue versus Schumacher dialogue? Or, I'm sorry, Akiva Goldsman dialogue.
They're both capable of true, unadulterated.
Yeah, I don't think
hours.
anybody ever watches anything that Akiva Goldman writes for the dialogue.
Yeah.
So it's I can almost guarantee that Bachelors had better dialogue, but because Goldsman was the big picture story guy, a lot of that got changed.
Probably, yeah. What do we think of Edward's carnivalesque lair? I love this.
Love it.
Even the little Riddler fortune teller, you know.
Oh my god. I just remember when I was a kid, I was so mad because, and this is just my child brain working, but like, you know, Two-Face shows up and he looks like Two-Face. And I was like, I would always have to like wait. I was like counting down the minutes of the first act of this movie to get Carrey looking like the Riddler with his shorter haircut.
Right.
I always hated how he looked.
You hate the long hair.
I hate the long hair. But this, oh my God, what's the fortune teller from Big?
Zola?
Something like
Zoltar. Oh my God, yeah. This is like Riddler Zoltar. I love it.
Yeah. So we're doing a lot of moping and whining because Bruce Wayne didn't love our thing, so he's going to show him. So we're making a new riddle, which he then hops on his little moped and sticks to the front of Wayne Manor. And this is already where we're starting to get touches of this camp from the performance, like him sticking it to the gate and then doing a little finger wave, see you soon. It's just oh wow, the queer lisp is out and this character is ready to emerge.
Without either, like, I mean, I don't know who you would cast as the Riddler if it wasn't Jim Carrey or Robin Williams, but
Paul Dano.
And I really like Dano's, I love
it's a different interpretation.
I like it too.
Yeah, but this movie really, I think, does sink without Jim Carrey's performance.
Oh God! Yeah. Whenever he's not on screen, you're just like, where is the energy gone? If it's not horny Nicole Kidman, you're missing the Jim Carrey manicness.
Yeah, no. Like I said, the 75% of why I love this is because of the energy that Jim Carrey brings to it. I mean, when he's got this like spangled unitard at the end, I'm like, yes,
yes.
With the heat miser hair.
Yes, he looks like what's her face from Ghostbusters?
Zool.
Oh my God! Yes, he does.
It might be the same one, leotard.
Same leotard, same wig. You know what? Is Ghostbusters a WB movie? Maybe it is.
Look, I think that Schumacher has a thing for those like Christmas movies because the fact that like, I say heat miser hair, we don't reference it here, but that's what it looks like. We also do the cold guy in Batman and Robin for Mr. Freeze. I was like, okay, I guess that's our thematic through line.
Sure, why not? Okay, so the next day, Bruce goes for his first appointment with Dr. Meridian. Of course, he mistakenly assumes that she's being attacked because she is working out in her self-defense boxing moves.
Why wouldn't he assume she was getting fucked?
I mean, especially given what he knows of her in the interactions with Batman, it's like, oh, this woman is a woman. Like, okay, Dr. Chase Meridian... There's another version of this movie where Dr. Chase Meridian goes on to star in Basic Instinct.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, I love the over-the-top comedy of him literally breaking the door down and then having to put it back up.
I think it's his best scene in the entire film. I think he's kind of magic as Bruce Wayne. And like we said before, he kind of can't make a Batman work because he's really dialed into Bruce Wayne. And I appreciate it from that standpoint that he's this sort of rigid 60s version of a millionaire.
Well, I will say, apparently, Val Kilmer did not read the script or know who the director was when he signed on to do this movie. And supposedly, he really did not like being in the Batman costume because of how restricting it was. So I think that also plays into his more drab Batman.
Right. I mean, it makes sense. Like, I think Michael Keaton famously said it was just very challenging to deliver a performance in Batman. Like, he couldn't turn his head, but it's a part of the gig. You got to know what you're signing up for.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. It's not hard to read a queer reading into this movie. All you literally have to do is watch Jim Carrey in any scene, but it doesn't hurt when the plot literally has Bruce Wayne say that he is receiving love letters from someone, and that's how he refers to these riddles. But I do enjoy the recurring dialogue exchange, the kind of jokey retort that we have about the total wacko that is sending him these.
What about this ink blot that she's like, oh, it can be anything. You must think it looks like a bat. I'm like, that looks like a bat.
That's a straight up bat. Someone's looking at that like, I love this umbrella. What the have you seen umbrellas before?
I see a dinosaur personally, right? You're just like, no, it's only a bat. That's the only thing you can see in it.
She's fucking gaslighting Bruce Wayne.
Truly. She's like, oh, I knew from the beginning. I knew before I came to Gotham. Duh. But everyone is it takes everyone so long to figure out everyone's secret identities. You're like, who could the Riddler be? You're just like, really? Really,
and he's got
idiots?
an eye mask. That is it. That is like the main thing that is covering his face. Is an eye mask
and a haircut.
He did. Yeah, he cut his hair. And it's orange sometimes.
Right, but only sometimes.
Only sometimes.
Mostly it's pink.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got the bat in the Rorschach, and then she proposes a Malaysian dream warrior doll, and of course this motherfucking thing is black and white on equal sides, and you're just like, yeah, movie, we get it. It's a movie about duality.
I really honed in on that shit.
Or is it a movie about bisexuality?
Wow.
And duality is merely the cape we put on top of it, because all of our choices are between who we choose to be with. And at the end, spoiler alert, Batman says, I'm both. And by both, I mean shacking up with one and dating the other.
Yeah, running into the light with my younger, hotter boyfriend. And also, I guess, fucking that side piece.
Get into your body's vitals with the Vitals app on Apple Watch.
I wanna get into my body and then my skin do the talking. I wanna feel like I'm myself again.
The Vitals app tracks key overnight metrics so you can spot changes in your health before you feel them. The Vitals app on Apple Watch. iPhone XS or later required. The Vitals app is for wellness purposes only and not for medical use.
I wanna get into my body.
The new McCrispy Strip is here. Dip approved by ketchup, tangy barbecue, honey mustard, Sprite, McFlurry, Big Mac sauce, double dipped in buffalo and ranch, more ranch, and creamy chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Finding a new job is stressful. But with Indeed, it doesn't have to be. Just fill out your Indeed profile with your skills, experience, and desired salary. The more you fill out, the better your matches will be. And hearing from hiring managers will be 2 times more likely. Relax. That's your Indeed profile sending opportunities your way. Indeed, the world can work better.
Okay, so when Dr. Chase Meridian asks too many probing questions, Bruce says, how about we go to the circus so I can shut you up? So this is where we introduce Chris O'Donnell and his gay-ass earring in the form of the Flying Graysons.
33 minutes into this movie.
I mean, whatever, it's 2 hours. He's in
Still
75%.
I guess it's fine.
So Richard Grayson, a.k.a. Dick, is performing the death drop, which, I'm just like, oh, so he's performing Drag Race memes in the form of the big top. And then this is when Two-Face takes over the mic so that we can do a massacre. So we've got 200 sticks of dynamite in a bomb form, and we need Batman out here immediately. I love this moment where Bruce Wayne stands right up and he just yells, and admittedly, sure, there's a lot of screaming, a lot of commotion, but he goes, Harvey, I'm Batman. And Dr. Chase Meridian is maybe like a hair's breadth away from him as he yells this, and she hears nothing at all.
She probably thinks he's just like the ramblings of a crazy man.
He's standing next to the local gossip reporter when he yells this.
Oh my God,
Okay.
this Hedda Hopper impersonator? Yeah.
Yes.
But later in the film, Bruce will tell Dick, if Bruce Wayne could have sacrificed his life to save your family, he would have. And I was like, okay, you stood up and yelled during like pandemonium. You could have run down there and
He did. He runs down to the center thing. He takes out 4 of Two-Face's guys, and he runs to the center of the center ring of the circus.
He could have run into Two-Face's arms and been like, dude,
it's me. Yeah.
I will say though, I do genuinely like the tragedy of Dick's family dying. I actually think this is pretty good.
It's straight out of the comic book.
Yeah.
I mean, he's taking a frame straight out of retellings of the original Robin's origin story. And so he knows a good shot when he sees it, and he replicates it well. And I'll say the circus sequence when he gives Dick an actual hero moment where he's thinking of others before himself, and then learns of his family's death.
Yeah.
And it pits him in a very dark place. Like, I don't have
It
issues
works.
with this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the over, or I guess the underhead shot of where his head kind of comes out from the ceiling where he looks at his family's corpses at the bottom. Ooh,
Yeah.
so good.
I really like that. I don't like the slow motion of his family members getting the like cord shot out from under them and them sort of falling.
Oh, I'm fine with that.
Well, they're covering up that they're stunt people. Like, there's just there's no CGI face replacement. What can
I
you
think
do?
it's just more, it feels like we're afraid to acknowledge that this movie has real stakes, but we also want to say, oh, but they're dead. Like, we're not going to show it to you because it's still a movie for kids, but then we're going to try to play it for genuine human emotion. And I'm like, well, you kind of can't have it both ways.
I just don't get why we couldn't cast someone who actually was more teenager. Like, for Schumacher to say, like, I wanted him to be older, and it's like, but why? Why? I would be like, okay, well, maybe it's kind of dumb for like this child to be going on with that man, but it's also like, but this is the movie you're making. Like, that would be believable here.
Yeah.
That's why you just avoid Robin altogether. And if you want to introduce a sidekick, you just come at it from a Nightwing angle of someone replicating Batman's tactics, and then is trained by Batman, but is on his own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've got a spin-off potential too.
Yeah.
There's a part where when Dick is trying to like name himself, and he offers up Nightwing.
He
as an
says
example,
Nightwing,
and I was
yeah.
like, movie, no.
Don't float that. Don't float that and make us think about it, because we're looking at this grown-ass man who's talking about foster care and being like, I'm petulant like a teenager.
I will say that Robin was always going to be a thing that had to be in this movie, because for Schumacher, he was like, I only knew Batman with Robin. I never knew Batman without Robin when I read the comics.
Yeah.
But then it's like, well, then maybe you should adapt him properly.
Yeah. Okay, so the next day after this massacre, we just immediately deliver the town's newest orphan to the town's most eligible bachelor and also millionaire. So, hey, Dick, meet your new wannabe stepfather, foster surrogate, whatever. And he waits for them to leave, and then he immediately tries to take off, but we keep him around with promises of hot cars and yet more sandwiches.
And this is where any charisma that O'Donnell might have had before this scene is gone for the rest of the movie.
Yep.
He can't play bad boy. It's not in his toolbox.
No, he was born to be in a CSI show.
Oh, right. Yeah.
NCIS says all CBS watchers everywhere.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, now he'll be known for 911 Nashville. So let's.
Jesus
Fuck, I forgot he was
God.
doing that now. I mean, you know what? He's found his niche.
Get that paycheck. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do enjoy him reading Bruce by saying, "Do you hang out at a lot of biker bars, Bruce?" So it's like,
I mean, what about
wow.
it?
I mean, that feels like a Schumacher line. Hey, can we just put in a little bit more queer coding about this relationship, please? Okay, folks, we're up to the first of many, many repressed memories. So let's just move it along. So we have this bad dream, and then Alfred comforts him. He comforts Dick. And I just wrote in my notes, God damn, this butler deserves a raise because... like, he's making all the food, he's cleaning all the things, and he's looking after the mental well health of these two idiots. Okay.
Hey, you just summed up Alicia Silverstone's first line of dialogue in Batman in Batman and Robin.
Uncle Alfred, suit
Uncle
me
Alfred.
up. These movies have problems with casting teenage actors, but also giving them anything to do. Like, basically, she just inherits this role from Robin/Dick in Batman and Robin, doesn't she?
And then they pair them together and it makes it worse.
Yeah, so bad. Okay, so it's been 10 minutes and it's time for another action sequence. So let's do this Batmobile, car chase. I do enjoy the fact that Two-Face thinks that posing as an old lady with a baby carrot's like, this is comedy cartoony genius. It's so dumb.
Yeah. More of this, please.
What do we think about the vertical driving? Because this feels like, how do we sell more toys?
It's Batman 66 reference.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Because in that, one of the bits was them constantly climbing up a building, filmed sideways, so that it would appear that they were walking up with the help of a rope. So that is literally Schumacher saying, we're going Batman 66 with this.
And it's very much a Schumacher thing because the screenwriters and producers like single this out as like, yeah, none of this was in our plan. Like Schumacher just really wanted the car to drive up a building.
Sure. Why not? You got the money. Make it happen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Don't worry, Gena. We're back to Edward Nygma. So he is in his lair, hard at work on his villain name and outfit. And I just need to point out that he is 100% using Cher Horowitz's computer from Clueless.
You're totally correct.
I do like the touch of, the coming up with what your name is going to be and what your look's going to be. I think that's a nice touch.
Yeah. Question mark, man?
Which admittedly, it does sound like that villain in the latest animated Spider-Man one where the guy is just like the black hole polka dot guy.
Oh, yeah, polka dot man.
Mm-hmm. No. Okay, well, let's introduce Two-Face's heavy metal meets house and garden lair. So this is where we first lay eyes on Sugar, who was played by Drew Barrymore, as well as Spice, who was played by Debbie Mazar, and could have done with a fuck ton more of both of these characters in this
Well,
movie.
yeah, I mean, I think it's just, you've got, the blonde girl, and you have the dark haired girl, and each one goes with each different side's personality, and it's just like, yes, we get it.
But it is fun, right? Like, to me, this is more fun than the coin toss or the him speaking like, it's me and me.
I wish they had done more with these characters.
Well, they don't even die, and they are present during the climax, but it's like, where did they go?
They're literally just there. The only characters that get less to do are the female characters in Batman and Robin.
Right.
Yeah. Well, apparently too, the original version of these characters were leather and lace, but the studio thought that was a bit too
S&M, Tim Burton.
Yeah. So they became Sugar and Spice, and we get a PG-13 version of it. But agreed. Yeah, they have nothing to do. This is the most they have to do, and it's fun. But then nothing after this gives you. I do kind of like Drew Barrymore, like kind of like teasing Jim Carrey at the charity event later. But poor Debbie Mazar, man. Oof.
Oh man.
Yeah, but listen, Debbie Mazar is hot as hell.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry to get
so
horny on
good in
Maine,
this.
but oh my
No, it's a Schumacher
God.
film. You can get horny.
Yeah, like she is incredible looking in this. Her costume is so much cooler than what Drew Barrymore is saddled with. And one of my favorite moments in this entire film is during the whole initial introduction of Riddler to Two-Face, and they're going off and off and off, and they have a reaction shot to Barrymore and Mazar.
Right.
And they're just like, they're watching, and then Mazar looks straight down the barrel of the lens like, are we still shooting this? And then kept it in the movie.
This is Jim Carrey take 42. Mazar's like, and straight up grain alcohol, baby.
But I mean, here's the thing. If you're an actor and someone says, do you want to have this throwaway role in a Batman movie? I'd be like, fuck
Yes.
yeah, I do.
Sure.
Always.
Can I wear a really silly costume?
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's my thing. I think that's the reason why I want more of these. Part of it is that I didn't know, like, I don't even know that I really knew who Drew Barrymore was because I wasn't associating her with E.T. or Firestarter or something like this. So I was like, she's cute. And then the other one is sexy. And I was just like, oh, so these two are going to be fun henchwomen. And then to see them just sort of strut around a little bit, like they look like the models at car shows. And it's disappointing.
Honey, my 6-year-old ass was living for Debbie Mazar in this movie because she is Regina, the villain of the acclaimed American classic, Beethoven's Second.
Well, Trace will be happy to know that she's in Empire Records, the movie you still have not watched.
The same year that Batman Forever came out, by the way.
Yeah, a good year for Debbie Mazar.
Beethoven's Second came first, so what are we going to do?
Really? Second came first, huh?
Yeah, it did.
All right. So, yes, this is when we do get the first appearance of the Riddler, now in costume. Credit to Jim Carrey. He is working this cane like it's really impressive. It's not quite on par with Michelle Pfeiffer in The Whip, but like the way that he uses his body to gyrate and move and swing it, like it is a physical element in his performance that I think works really, really well.
Caneography.
There we go. Bring it back. Yeah, so he is here to propose an alliance, and he doesn't want to just kill Batman. We need to humiliate him first. So let's demo the box. This is the kind of MacGuffin for the rest of the movie. We're just going to keep changing it, as we have alluded to, but it can kind of do different things that we needed to do. But I was curious, Patrick and Gena, how did you feel about the does anyone else feel like a fried egg? Because you gotta love an 80s drug commercial reference, hey?
I mean, it was still relevant.
It was. Yeah, it's because I want to say that's 91, 92.
Yeah, because it was in Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, and that would have been 91, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're only a couple years removed then.
But it was inescapable to a certain degree. And like she gets a career off of that commercial. Like we would not have one of my favorite 99 movies of Josie and the Pussycats without that commercial. Like she's born to be that role. So we wouldn't have an entire film where the entire cast does not have underwear on. No one. Not men, not women. No one shows up with underwear in Josie and the Pussycats. It's fantastic.
Patrick, you truly are horny on Maine tonight, aren't you?
Hey, you brought me on to talk about Batman Forever. This is not an unhorny movie.
Truly. Although, question for you folks. Do you think if this wasn't aimed so much at children, like would you have taken a sexier, slightly raunchier version of this? Because so many of these characters are giving like a G or PG rated I'm down to fuck vibe, right?
Yeah, I would have certainly have taken a little bit of edge on it. And I think a lot of that comes out in I'd forgotten to mention this earlier. One of the unsung things about this movie, it's its soundtrack.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which it's got Nick Cave, PJ Harvey, and it's like, okay, this is a weird soundtrack for a superhero movie. And I realize, of course, the original Batman has the Prince soundtrack,
right?
Which again was a very weird and esoteric and
pretty
interesting.
Daring.
But this is like, it's both very contemporary for the time, and also, but gives a sort of little dark edge to it that I think makes is one of the things that really makes it stand out.
It's probably one of the few genuinely sexy U2 songs that have ever existed. The PJ Harvey track is, and then you get the seal of it all.
Oh my God,
which transcends the film to be its own thing. This was a soundtrack that worked on pop radio, that worked on alternative radio, and it kind of was everywhere. It is wild how big of a soundtrack this was.
Yeah.
Thank you, Patrick. And I'm so sorry. I think you actually have to step out now, I believe, don't you?
I do, but I simply want to state for the record, Dick Grayson's method of laundry is terrible. It's just... You're making a bigger mess than you are anything else. Like, I really wanted your soapy water all over the floor. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
2, I also make those kinds of faces when I get head. Every time they stick the box wand onto their forehead. You're getting O-face.
Oh, no, they're gooning. They're practically gooning.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And then my second favorite moment of the entire movie is when at the grand, ball, is that Jim Carrey drags Kidman onto the dance floor, and Kidman is trying everything in her power to keep a straight face and is losing.
Yes.
Ultimately, I think this is both a peak and a valley for Batman, because it is the best at what it is, but it's also at such an apex that it ends up losing Batman fans for a while. It can't overcome this type of shift, and it requires a wild reimagining of it for it to sort of regain its standing.
Right.
And as such, it's an interesting inflection point in Hollywood filmmaking.
Truly. Yeah, it's like we hit a certain point with Batman properties, and then because of this, we truly start to change them.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for your insights, Patrick.
Please continue, and my apologies to the Horror Queer Nation for having to leave.
I want to say, I just sent a link in our chat. I just looked at the poster for this movie, which I think is actually a really good version of like the Talking Heads poster that we see all the time nowadays.
Yeah, I like it.
But look at how Nicole Kidman is positioned on this thing. So like Robin's like he's punching, Jim Carrey's doing a pose, Lee Jones is smiling, Batman is Batmaning, whereas Nicole Kidman looks like she's bent over, ready to get railed from behind.
100%. Yeah.
I think that is absolutely
it's appropriate. She is Megan Foxing in Transformers movies, right? Yeah, it's so stupid. It's a lot. Okay, so we're still in Two-Face's lair. We've got Harvey accepting, okay, let's humiliate Batman, and then we're going to kill him. And then we get a heavily queer montage, which includes a Fey Riddler failing to execute a punch and also wearing a tiara after a bank heist. Then the aforementioned laundry acrobatics, which all of this combined just feels like, oh, this is Schumacher's gay-ass contributions to this movie.
I mean, because in this scene with the punch scene, like, is Carrey already wearing, like, the unitard?
Yes. Yeah, like, when he shows up in his Riddler outfit, he's technically wearing a unitard with a blazer over top.
Right, but, like, his bulge is bulging in this movie.
Yeah, the riddle is not whether he's circumcised or not.
But like I don't know if this is true. I feel like in my life I've read this somewhere, but where he said like, oh yeah, a lot of people didn't want to wear that outfit. Yeah. And I was like, well, that's why you're not making all the money that the millions of dollars Carrey's making on this movie, I guess.
I mean, he's just going for it, right? But the difference is, I mean, I'll confess, I saw this opening weekend back in 1995, and I was not a huge Jim Carrey fan. Like, I was not a fan of The Mask. I didn't enjoy his particular brand of comedy. So for me, this was a failure. Like, I was obsessed with Nicole Kidman because I was a closeted gay teen. And, I thought Val Kilmer was a bit snoozy, but fine. And I thought Chris O'Donnell was hot and cardboard cutout. But like everything else was just a big old no. And it's only been over the years when I go back to revisit this film how much I can appreciate what Carrey's blend of like elastic face and physicality are contributing to the film. Like the movie is boring when he is not on screen unless you've got Nicole Kidman vamping.
It really is. They both. I mean, I hate to use the phrase "understand the assignment" because it's become such a cliche. At this point.
But it's so true.
But yeah, no, he knew what he was getting into with this, and I think that I feel like as soon as Tommy Lee Jones got up from the makeup chair and looked in the mirror, he's like, "Oh fuck!" like, oh, this is what I signed up for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
To me, I'd be like, I'm gonna have some fun. This is great.
Whereas like Jim Carrey is like, yeah, I knew what I signed up for, and that's what you gotta. That is the spirit you have to bring to this kind of thing. You're gonna have fun with it.
To be fair, I do think that Tommy Lee Jones is trying. Like, I don't think he's a wet blanket on the proceedings.
He's inconsistent.
He's not phoning it in, though. He's not phoning it in.
But like some scenes he's
better.
In it a little more than in others.
Yeah.
Well, maybe on the days where he's not, those were days where Jim Carrey was really annoying him. But
it's so possible.
I gotta say, Joe, I can forgive not really being like an Ace Ventura person because those aren't really my cup of tea either. But man, if you haven't revisited The Mask since
I have not.
Oh my God, I love The Mask.
Yeah, like I think I saw it once and was just like, oh, I don't think this is for me. But
what if I may ask, Joe,
Mm-hmm.
what was there a particular performance of his that made you more willing to give him a second chance?
Ironically enough, I think you're both going to hate me and a bunch of other people are just going to groan, but it was when he started to, I think, just alternate between really over-the-top comedic performances and then something like The Truman Show, because I think I always just saw him as a sketch comedian, and then he proved he actually does have versatility, which then makes me reevaluate his comedic performances because I know what he's giving to it. Like, yeah.
I kind of liken like my relationship with Carrey the same way with Sandler. Like a lot of those Adam Sandler 90s comedies are really stupid.
Right.
I tend to like more of Adam. Like I love The Wedding Singer, which is really an outlier, but I love Happy Gilmore. I love Billy Madison. They were very stupid movies, but I never had the same relationship with Jim Carrey except with The Mask. Like I watched The Mask so much as a kid. I really enough wasn't allowed to watch Ace Ventura.
Wow.
And then I think the one I need to revisit, and Gena, maybe you are more familiar with this one, but The Cable Guy is one I feel like I need to revisit.
Oh, The Cable Guy. I love The Cable Guy. And a lot of people.
Yeah, that one's super divisive, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's dark.
It's so dark.
Well, you know what? Yeah, you know what? Because he's fucking terrifying in it.
He's scary. He's obsessive in that too, right?
Scary. He is genuinely like psychotic in it, and it is. But it's like it's a very dark comedy because it's very much about criticizing baby boomers and at that point adult Gen Xers for being so obsessed with
is it their gadgets and stuff?
Their youth, just more like television and like not being able to know how to relate to people properly and only being able to talk in pop culture references. And, no, I strongly recommend you give that another shot because it's very good.
I've seen a lot of reappraisals of The Cable Guy over the years. I don't think I've seen it since the 90s, to be honest. And I think it's a Ben Stiller directed film too, so it's like
might be
Ben Stiller, and what's hilarious is Ben Stiller is in it, but playing sort of like a version of the Menendez brothers.
Oh my God!
and their like murder trial is like showing on television.
Oh, interesting.
Like as like a backdrop, and like the best gag in it is that while the trial is still going on, there's a made-for-TV movie about it. And I shit you not, he's played by the character that Ben Stiller's playing is played in movie by Eric Roberts.
Oh
it's made for TV. It's very funny,
and that's really funny too because Ben Stiller is the elder abusing like orderly in Happy Gilmore.
Oh, there we go. Maybe they had a connection.
Maybe.
Okay, so Edward is meanwhile launching Nigmatech, presumably with all of the stolen money that they've been using from the robberies, and he begins soaking up the brainwaves of the zombified Gothamites.
So he soaks up the brainwaves, but it also doesn't seem to actually have any lasting impact on people once their IQ is taken.
That, to me, is a bit of the problem. Like, when we first try it on Fred becomes virtually an imbecile, but then the minute we take that stick off of him, he's back to normal. And I'm just like, I thought we were sucking it up. Like, wasn't it transferring to Nigma, or is it just a temporary thing?
It's more like it's cloning their IQ than transferring it. And why don't we have a bunch of, like, zombies walking around?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, they should just be like,
yeah, exactly. All right, we also have Dick orchestrating a acrobatic sneak into the Batcave, and we've got Chase therapizing. Yes, there we go. Therapizing Bruce over his repressed memories. So this is one of the less interesting sections of the film, if we're being honest.
And it's the same fucking thing in Batman Returns. Whenever Dick goes off to do something, it's just boring.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk about the moments where he steals the other car.
Oh, I do love that line of dialogue. No, sir, the other car.
Michael Gough is always a treasure in these films, and I love that he knows Alfred will never get more than a couple of scenes and a couple of lines of dialogue, and he just has to make the most of it, even though his character is not particularly interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he's gonna make his seconds on screen count.
Exactly. Yes. Okay, so Dick does proposition en vogue. There are the sex workers in these scenes, and then he rescues what I wrote in my notes is a generic Noxema girl from Neon Thugs.
Yeah, that's no-name girl who we will never see again.
Yeah, it's fine. So Batman ends up having to save him from these, is this a gang? Is that what we're meant to read? Is there just a really dark neon section of Gotham where these people run routes?
Because I think these are the same gang members that we get in Batman and Robin.
Maybe.
Yeah, they like the neon, like you're talking about the neon color.
Yeah.
Those same ones that are, I think, in the lair that Poison Ivy takes. So.
Yeah, but I was like, well, are they meant to be the same gang, or
Possibly.
like do all the gangs just really like neon paint in Gotham City?
Yes and yes. Okay, so now that Bruce Wayne's secret identity is obviously very out to Dick, we unpack our respective trauma because Dick, of course, blames Bruce for not getting into the mix and saving his family. And then he's like, well, let me be your partner. We'll go after Two-Face together so I can fucking kill him. And Bruce is just like, no, I'm not going to do that because my whole fucking life has been that and it didn't work out for me.
And I think maybe this is one of Chris O'Donnell's better moments in the movie because we're actually acting here. He's still behaving like a petulant child.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But I like, and again, I think that this story between Bruce and Dick is something that you really could dig into in a
better movie.
A more serious movie, maybe, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, like, Gena, is there ever a moment where you actually care about Dick in this? Or is it just like Chris O'Donnell's performance is so one note and bland?
Yeah, he's really unlikable. And again, I very much, you're absolutely right. The main issue is that he is just too old for this character.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so he just sort of, feels like almost like he's making fun of surly teenagers.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I think back to Marlon Wayans, he would have brought in the right energy to it. Again, Leonardo DiCaprio could have done it.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to feel sympathy for a child when that child is not played by a child.
Right.
And it's like, he's just a very, I don't think I've ever seen him in a performance that I enjoyed him in.
In a movie? Wait, you know what? He was in Kinsey as one of the researchers, and he was probably good in there, but he blended in with all the other actors playing the researchers.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe just in a supporting role he would be better. And then I realized he's in a supporting role in this movie.
Wait, I've got it. Vertical Limit.
Oh, vertical limit. Okay. Yeah.
I love
when
vertical
it's
limit.
just kind of generic action and you don't have to do a ton of emoting, but also, I mean, he's a bit of a sad sack because of his sister in that movie, but it's like fine.
But he's the lead.
He is the lead. Yeah. Okay, it's time for our obligatory Batman gala. We have to have one in every single one of these movies. So this is where the Gossip Gertie character, who is played by Elizabeth Sanders, asks Bruce if he's yesterday's news. Bruce, aren't you yesterday's news?
Talk about someone who understood the assignment. This woman, her vocal affectation is just unmatched.
Yeah, you know who she reminded me of on this rewatch? Mrs. Peacock from Clue.
She's definitely.
Yeah, I can see that.
She's definitely styled like her hair, especially.
Yeah, it's the hair and the glasses, and you're just like, this character's kind of fun. I mean, this isn't the only scene she shows up in. She pops up a couple of times, but I love this idea that we're going to essentially assault this rich millionaire at this expensive party and just be like, hey, don't you suck now? Okay, so Edward is here as himself, so he's not in Riddler performance mode, but he does, yes, Trace, have sugar on his arm. I do love that he has fashioned himself a fake mole.
Oh, the how's my mole gets a laugh out of me every time.
Mole. So dumb. But he's here to demonstrate the next model or the evolution of the box. So yes, this is the fully interactive holograms that we can pull out of people's heads, but secretly he mostly just wants to get into people's heads to get things like bank codes and other information that he can monetize, but he really wants to get Bruce Wayne in there. So we do a switch with green neon vials, and sugar is instrumental in making Bruce think that it's not going to read his mind. But yes, this is how we will eventually discover, what does Bruce Wayne have on the brain? Bats. It's like, it's the only thing he thinks about all the time.
I mean, it was really, well, yes, quite literally. That's his entire MO. But
I'm just like, can you imagine, like, he's there with Dr. Meridian, and the idea that he goes in, he's just like, man, I'm still thinking about bats, still thinking about Batmaning right now. Definitely don't want to pork that lady out there or anything.
The obviously not a bat ink block test, he saw a bat. So, I mean, what more do you want?
It would just be funny, like, if she gave him more ink blots, since they obviously weren't bats. He's like, bat. It's like a picture of Abraham. It's like a picture of Abraham Lincoln. That's a bat.
Except also now I'm conflating this with What We Do in the Shadow.
Yes,
actually, and that Gena is a joke that would have, I'm pretty sure, has appeared on the Harley Quinn animated series.
Oh, I guarantee you.
I'm pretty
something
sure
stupid like that. Yes.
I mean,
yes.
she thinks he wants to fuck bats. That's what she says. But yes.
Well, doesn't he though?
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, the scene that Patrick referred to just before he left, we do get to see Edward dancing with Dr. Chase Meridian, and he is just guiding her around this dance floor, and she looks like she's on a ride, like she's just holding on for dear life. Okay, this is when we get Two-Face and Spice bursting in for their heist. I enjoy, again, the reads that Carrey is doing. Your entrance was good. His was better.
There's a moment when he's talking to Bruce, too, and Bruce, like, takes his glasses off to, like, speak to him, and then Carrey mimics it and takes his glasses off, too.
It's so fun. Yeah. This is when Chase macks on Batman. She gives him a big kiss and says, like, my place, midnight. It's like, damn, girl.
She is, like, ready to fuck.
Just, whatever. Bruce, Batman, just,
Okay, here's the thing. If you fuck Batman, do you need to wear a condom? Because the suit is rubber.
But his penis is like his penis.
His dick's not made of rubber. Yeah, I don't...
You don't think he's got like a little
No.
I mean, I think he's probably got like a little like escape hatch or something for it,
Well, he's got to pee at some point, right?
Well, yeah. So if they were to fuck, he has to keep the suit on? I guess he has to.
I think she would insist on it.
You know what?
Yeah.
I'd keep the cowl on. Protect the identity, the secret identity, and then just be like, yeah, I'm getting naked from the neck down.
That cod piece, no. That cod piece is detachable. You know it is.
Yeah.
He just presses a button and it flies off and his dick pops out.
Right. See, this is why the Batman costume is more practical, because it's just like the little, tight bikini things or something. You just, there you go, right?
I mean, they have 75 suits to work with, I guess, so.
I guess. Which of the suits has the retractable underwear, right? Schumacher made that model. That dude liked to fuck. Let's not forget his list of like 20,000 men that he fucked. Okay. Yeah. So then we've got this exciting, in quotation marks, because I don't actually think it's very exciting, action sequence where Harvey tries to bury Batman under a case of explosive gas. Haha. But we just conveniently have the flame repellent cowl thing, whatever. Retardant. Yeah. Okay, so he ends up getting buried under kitty litter, and Dick is able to save him. This is when we get the Nightwing reference. He is in Robin costume, and then we go home so that Bruce can watch a slow-motion shampoo commercial on a loop of Dr. Chase Meridian. Where did he get this from?
Her old modeling reel.
It truly looks like that. It looks like she is just flipping her hair from side to side. So he ends up going to her as she requested at midnight, and they kiss, but she rejects him because she's thinking about somebody else. And I do like the smile that he gives as he walks away, because he realizes, oh, she likes me for Bruce and not Batman.
I do too. I just don't buy the fact that the kiss is what makes her be like, no, I want Bruce instead. Like, girl, you have been dripping wet for this guy all movie, and you're telling me one kiss just dried you up?
Yeah. The reality is that she would fuck him and then be like, you know what? I changed my mind. I think I'd rather go with the other guy.
You're not exclusive with Bruce yet. Like, you could totally fuck Batman, and you're in the clear.
Truly. Yeah. Yeah.
Dripping wet.
It just defies logic. Okay, so yes, now we've got the fully all spandex all the time Riddler canoodling with Two-Face over Bruce Bats in the Head Wayne. So this is where we discover the identity. So now the villains know that Bruce Wayne and Batman are one and the same, but they're head to head. They're cheek to cheek in these moments.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so back at Wayne Manor, Bruce decides he's going to shut everything down because he had one kiss as Batman with Dr. Meridian, and he knows that she likes him. So he's going to, what? Stop Batmaning forever? It makes...
giving on up.
What the fuck are we doing here?
I mean, hey, why not?
I guess. The love of a good woman. So this does not sit well with Dick. So Dick takes his costume, his motorcycle, he walks away. Alas, our villains are waiting outside. So when Dr. Chase arrives, we are preparing to infiltrate the house because it is Halloween and it's very easy to sneak in past Alfred, bean him in the head, and then make our way and abduct the lovers.
Gotta say, I 100%. I was like, oh, Halloween. Wow, we're doing the Long Halloween, because that's very much like a Two-Face story.
Sure, but we don't.
The Long Halloween comes out the year after this movie. And so I wonder if maybe there was a renewed interest in the Two-Face character after this in comics. I have no idea, but I was really surprised. I was like, why is this Halloween? Like, that's cool, but it's not based on the book.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. So we're on this date. Dr. Chase Meridian has come over. Bruce is going to confess everything. We're going to ride away into the sunset or some bullshit like that. And, he has another repressed memory fucking attack or something.
Okay, but the problem is this scene, this memory attack. Okay, he goes to his father's journal. He finds the book. Oh, my God. Mm-hmm. He runs out. He falls into a cave. He sees a bat. Oh, my God, I'm Batman. Admittedly, I have not watched Tim Burton's Batman in a while.
Right.
Is this not established in that movie already?
It is. It's 100%.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is. I mean, the Joker is established as being the one who killed his parents.
Yes. No, I remember that.
There are numerous flashbacks.
But even like the falling into a cave and seeing a bat, like, is that something that we... Okay, so again, we have this whole thing where it's like, oh my God, these repressed dreams, like something you don't remember that you are repressing that you have to bring to the surface, and none of it is new information for us or Bruce.
No. And then we're going to do it again in Batman Begins, like almost beat for beat.
That makes sense at least. That's at least a prequel.
I mean, anyway, it's just one of those things where, like, every time they announce a Batman movie, I'm just like, if they show us this fucking origin story, I am going to pull out my hair.
I don't think we'll ever get I don't think for at least 50 years we'll get a Batman origin story in theaters again.
See, I mean, we dodged a bullet with the Batman, thank God. So. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Chase figures everything out when they kiss. Oh my God, you kiss the exact same way as Batman. You must be Batman. To which I'm like, are people's kisses really that distinct and or similar? Like, can you tell someone by their kiss?
Maybe he tongued the same way.
Maybe, yeah. It's like, oh, Batman really sought out that back molar too. They must be one and the same. Okay, so Riddler and Two-Face have snuck in. They've knocked Alfred out. I will say, I don't think the Riddler is ever more gay than in the moment when he bursts into Wayne Manor and goes, "A trick."
Okay, but him destroying the Batcave is, I do think, one of the highlights of this movie.
It's so fun.
It's real funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have little squeaky toys that we turn their necks and they make squeaky sounds, and then we throw them and they explode, and it's highly entertaining. We do have the line "Joygasm" in here.
Love it. Love it.
And he gropes himself when we get a little honk on the soundtrack.
We do. Yep.
he's pelvic thrusting, and then when things explode,
Spank
it's
me.
wonderful.
I mean, this
Love
is the horniest the Riddler has ever been in this movie.
Truly. Yeah, like he's getting off on the destruction.
I mean, also, when he finally unlocks the door to the Batcave, which, by the way, apparently really easy to get into.
Too easy.
Spank me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so the henchmen run around with Bruce and Chase. It's very amusing. Bruce eventually catches a stray bullet and Two-Face nearly kills him, but of course Riddler stops him because we, need to play a game. That's what the Riddler is all about. So Chase gets dragged away, Alfred wakes Bruce up, and they finally figure out that the Riddler is Edward Nygma. So we suit up in the one remaining prototype suit that we have. This is where we do get the black rubber ass shot that, of course, Schumacher would become famous for. And then Robin returns so we can even the odds.
Famous or infamous?
Yes. I mean, here's the thing. We double down on it because we talked about this in Batman and Robin where we get the crotch shot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think the worst line of dialogue in this entire movie is where we do the friends, partners bit.
Yeah. I mean, well, it might work better if you liked Robin or cared about his partnership with Batman, but you don't.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, because it's a cheesy line, but it's like, I think you're just watching Chris O'Donnell like, I fucking hate you.
Like, no, I don't want to be your friend and I don't want to be your partner. You should have just walked away and not come back.
I mean, he's a liability for Batman. Like, I would not have taken this kid on in his current shape.
I would have used him as bait, and like if he happens to explode in the plane, oh no. But it got me to the island. Okay, so we do break out the Bat plane and the Bat boat, and we're playing a game of Battleship. Again, this is very fun and inspired as the Riddler and Two-Face are just like setting off these explosive mines. I do not enjoy the quip, "Holy rusted metal, Batman," even though I get that it is a pun, and obviously this is very 66. It's just, no, please.
I think the line is fine.
Yeah,
I don't think he needs
delivery.
He doesn't need to explain the pun, though. Like, 66 Batman never did that. Did it?
No.
Yeah. Like, no, you just say the pun. We get it. It's a reference, obviously. Move the fuck on. But no, it's literally metal that is full of holes.
It's for the kids in the back who didn't get it. All right, so we are on Box Island because this island, like, how did we not know that they were here? This thing is about 3 stories tall.
I don't know.
It's fine. It's fine. So they almost immediately get separated because Robin is too impetuous and he runs ahead. So he briefly battles with Two-Face, but he lets him go because he's taken Bruce's stupid but noble advice. And of course, that just means he ends up getting captured.
Good riddance.
Of course.
It's fine.
It's actually really shitty for the audience that the Batman's like Sophie's Choice or like the trolley car problem in this movie is, do you want to save Chase or do you want to save Robin? And I think for most people, it's a really obvious answer.
Yeah, it's like, well, We know which one you can just let go. And I'll take the horny doctor. I'll take the horny doctor for 1,000, Alex. Okay, yes. So we get some stuff with, how do we get up to the Riddler's lair? We have to climb up the silo and do some different weird shit with the thing that's coming down and the spikes at who cares? Whatever.
It's fun.
It's fun. It's Batman having to use his ingenuity and his gadgets and so on. So we end up in the throne room. Riddler now has a red wig and a bejeweled white sparkly onesie. It's a good look. He's definitely up to his game for the finale. And yes, we have Dick and Chase. Oh my God. Chasing Dick. Chasing Dick.
Chasing Dick. Oh my God. Put that in the show notes, please. It has to be in the plot summary.
Okay. So Batman, yes, must make a decision. Which will he save? Instead, of course, Batman chooses neither because he will just take out this other giant box that's over top of the Riddler that he's been using to soak up all the brainwaves.
Okay, so the way to destroy the Riddler in this movie is just throw a batarang at this thing and he is out for the count.
Yes, correct.
I think one of my favorite line deliveries from Carrey in this movie, though, is he's like, by the way, I've seen your mind, freak.
Yeah, with a claw motion at him. Seen your mind, freak.
But yeah, I really hate the way he is dispatched so easily. I was like, why didn't Batman just walk in from the get-go and throw a fucking batarang at this thing?
I mean, do you remember in Batman Returns where Batman is faced with a bunch of different circus freaks and he has that programmable batarang that takes out all of them except for the lady because the dog grabs it?
Yeah.
I was just like, we could have done that and taken out Two-Face and the Riddler and the movie would have been done in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's fine. So before the Riddler completely goes mutant head thing, he does manage to drop the bottom out of these glass cages. So they both plummet and Batman has to save them. I do like that he goes after Chase first. So telling.
Makes sense.
Yeah. He and Dick had a tense conversation later about that.
So you picked your girlfriend over me. Your homoerotic houseboy.
Freak.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen your mind. Hetero. I do kind of like that it's an understated callback to the death drop where Dick's father grabbed him by the hand. So we see Batman do a yay, surrogate father figure, and also Dad, I'd like to fuck. And now we got to get rid of Two-Face. I think that this is fine. It could have been bigger and showier, but I do kind of like that we end up using the Achilles heel that Dr. Meridian mentioned earlier. So Batman just has a handful of coins that we throw in the air and Two-Face falls to his death.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, both of the dispatching of these villains in this movie are actually pretty underwhelming.
Just a wee bit.
Yeah. They for everything else, all the rest of the tone and style of this movie, it does end up pulling its punches in that regard.
Yeah, which actually is something that Batman and Robin will do too, because Poison Ivy's dispatching makes no fucking sense, because plant traps her.
That giant Venus flytrap. Even though she speaks to plants. Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we get this final image of the coin falling into Two-Face's hand, and of course, it is heads. So he would have been good, but he's dead. Okay, so Batman tells a mutated Edward that he is, yes, both Bruce and Batman. As Patrick said, he's either bipolar personality or bisexual personality, but it doesn't matter because Edward is completely down for the count at this point. He's so out of it because he's been sucking up all that brain juice. So we ship him off to Arkham Asylum. And I was baffled at this Rene Auberjonois cameo as Dr. Burton. Oh,
I didn't catch his name.
I don't think he's referred to, or maybe Chase mentions oh, Dr. Burton, thanks for letting me see. But I was just like, oh, I wonder if we were maybe going to set something up here.
Maybe.
Because we go back to Arkham and Batman and Robin, but I don't remember this character.
No, I don't think he was in it.
No. But I'm also a little bummed with how we don't really use Arkham Asylum in any of these Batman movies. And I guess maybe it's because normally if we're going to Arkham Asylum, we're seeing all of his rogues gallery. But still, use this amazing setting.
Yeah. I mean, we use it for a hot second. I feel like we see a couple. Do we not see a couple people in Batman and Robin? Or is it just Bane?
It's just Bane.
Okay. Bane.
But also, wait, but they're not in Arkham Asylum, though, whenever Bane gets created. They're in, like, South America.
Right. No, but remember, we have...
Like when
Mr. Freeze. It's at the end of the film when Mr. Freeze goes after Uma, and they're in Arkham then.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, even like just giving us a couple nameplates, you know, like put like fucking like Joker in there and like whatever. I guess Joker's dead, but whatever.
Yeah, I feel like the Lego Batman movie has more time spent in Arkham.
Right. Yeah, no, it totally does.
That's true.
Than the live action ones.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just easier because then you only have to pay for the voice actors and you don't have to have a likeness. But
I mean, I'm just saying too, like there is a great video game called Batman Arkham Asylum, which is literally Batman getting locked in Arkham Asylum by the Joker and Harley Quinn, and he has to face off against all the enemies that he put in there, and it's fucking great.
Yeah. I'm always perplexed at how difficult they make Batman narratives out to be. Like, ooh, which villain should we have up here? And you're just like, I don't know why this is so confusing for you. There's so many comics that you could pull from, and they always just overcomplicate it and overstuff it and stuff. And you're like, it's really not that hard. But
isn't that what we say about almost every franchise? Like, I mean, I know like Friday the 13th is like locked in like a legal battle, but how hard is it to make a fucking Friday the 13th movie?
Apparently very difficult. Well, Gena, you would know this more than anyone.
I mean, yeah, it does seem like, you know, there's a lot of issues with rights and characterization.
Yeah.
It's like there's one character. You know?
I wonder how much of this is the suits, right? Where they're just like, people aren't going to know who this character is, and also we're trying to sell toys, so you know we need someone striking. Like we need larger than life face makeup on Two-Face because it's going to sell toys.
I wonder if it's the fandom. Like, maybe they're really just afraid of the fans. I don't think at this point they would have been.
I mean, not in '95. I don't think they would have been. Now, certainly, Like I was thinking about when you mentioned the whole Marlon Wayans thing, like how badly that would go over now.
The DEI hire of Marlon Wayans.
If they cast a Black Robin, just how badly that would go over. Not that they shouldn't; they absolutely should.
Oh, yeah.
But the reaction of a certain class of comic book fans.
Well,
the racists. Like we can say racists.
Yeah, the racists.
I guess the trade-off we get though is that we do have Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman in The Batman.
There we go.
True.
And I feel like nobody really cared about that.
Maybe I thought she was really good in it.
Oh, I liked her a lot. Yeah.
No, yeah, she was quite good. But yeah, you're right. I don't remember there being a much of a backlash about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I wonder though because I do think that Selena Kyle has been portrayed as Black in the comics.
She has been.
Now.
Yes.
Yeah. Because she's definitely Black in the Harley Quinn show, voiced by Sanaa Lathan.
Eartha Kitt, of course.
Oh, duh. Yes.
Trace, actually, one of the earlier things that you said was you really liked the production design of this Gotham, and you were like, I don't really feel like any other Batmans have really utilized it in quite the same way as the two Schumacher films. And I was going to say at the time, and we kind of moved on from it, but just thinking about like diverse casting and like how films could be using their female characters a little bit better and so on. I think the most contemporary version of this, but in a very good way, is that Birds of Prey movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's a really, I feel like that's a good lived in, and it's got the kind of carnival elements to it in Harley's Lair.
There's also a lot of daylight of Gotham City in that movie too, which is something we don't often get. So,
well, yeah, one of the most memorable scenes is her walking around with a breakfast sandwich.
Yeah,
so,
actually, no, that's a good. I mean, it's not as stylized as this,
no, from
a production design standpoint. But I do think that, like editing wise, it is much more stylized than this, but in a similar way. So I agree with you. I think it's a good comparison.
Yeah.
But I think that Ewan McGregor's villain in it would fit in pretty well in this environment.
Honestly, the only real gripe I have with that movie, outside of the fact that the Birds of Prey, we needed more time with them together because we're not getting that sequel anytime soon.
Oh, it's not happening, unfortunately.
I would have taken more scenes with Ewan McGregor's Black Mask and his henchman, Chris, what's his face is? Chris Messina's,
yes. Whatever his character's name is.
Oh, that's right. He was
Victor Zsasz.
He had the bleach blonde hair.
Yeah,
right?
and they very much were gay together.
So gay. I loved it. Yeah, I wanted so much more of them.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, this is all us delaying because we're technically at the end of this movie, so it's a happy ending for Chase and Bruce. He gives her back the Malaysian dream doll. Oh, I wrote duel in my notes. Yeah, this line is another clunker. Thanks for giving me a new dream.
Yeah.
And she's gone the next one. So
I love it. She's like, oh, I landed them both. And you know what? I don't want either.
And then he ends up with like the absolute nothing of a love interest. And there's like Elle McPherson.
Yes.
She barely has any dialogue in it.
Yeah, well, and there's a deleted scene with them, I think, where she does break up with him. And I was like, so you didn't even care enough to like put this in the movie?
No,
but
no agency for that character, no interest.
Yeah, she just disappeared. I mean, she could have like died or something. She just disappeared.
That's what should have happened here is that, Nicole Kidman kisses Bruce Wayne at the end, and she's like, oh, I can't believe I'm saying this, but there's no one else, and I don't want you?
Or she's like, you know what? I danced with this really intriguing guy at the gala, and maybe I want to seek him out because he was giving me sexual pervert that, might get the juices running.
Well, unfortunately, she's already seen Edward and Arkham by this point, so.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so we end with our usual bat signal, and now it's not just Batman. We've got Batman and Robin because we're friends and partners.
It's a threat. Like, this movie's like, we're gonna come back, and they're gonna be co-leads.
Yeah, like you may not have liked Chris O'Donnell, but we are doubling the fuck down on him.
I was gonna say, if you don't like Chris O'Donnell, you can fuck right off.
Wait until we introduce Batgirl.
Schumacher's like, I don't know why people didn't like Chris O'Donnell's Robin. I thought he was great. Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to fuck him. I mean, I thought he was great. Yeah.
And that's it. That's Batman Forever.
That's Batman Forever. 30 years.
I still love it.
And that's totally, I mean, again, we all have those movies. I still find this entertaining, and you're going to hate me, Gina, but like, if I was going to rewatch either this or Batman and Robin, I would rewatch Batman and Robin.
Okay, but is it just because you are so much more fixated on Uma Thurman?
Oh, that's probably, and here's the thing. It's not because Batman and Robin is a better movie. This is undeniably a better movie than Batman and Robin.
Mm-hmm.
I just think Batman and Robin's more entertaining.
Okay.
You know what? That's fair. I think that there is less dead space in Batman and Robin than Batman Forever. Batman and Robin moves more.
Well,
it's
if only because there's somehow even more pieces at play in Batman and Robin than there are in Batman Forever.
Yeah, we've got more characters.
But I will also say that last half hour of Batman and Robin,
it's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's interminable. Like up to that point, it's it's not good, but it's moving along. And then all of a sudden, like that last half hour, it's like someone cut that running speed down.
It's
like,
because Uma Thurman's not in the last 30 minutes of Batman.
Oh, must be it.
I mean, probably, yeah.
I will say, I think the other big thing is that Jim Carrey is serving a kind of similar energy to Arnold in Batman and Robin, but he doesn't rely on the puns. So he's larger than life and he's big and brash and loud and stuff, but Carrey is letting the performance and the weird quirky mannerisms speak for themselves, where it feels like Arnold is really relying on, I'm the guy who does cold and ice puns. And I don't find that as interesting at all.
No, yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, he feels born for this role.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas Arnold Schwarzenegger just sort of feels like stunt
Well,
cast.
because it just looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger in blue makeup. And it feels and sounds and like everything that's not Victor Fries, that's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
No, you're right. It does feel like stunt casting, which is wild because it feels like 30 years on. I look at Jim Carrey and I think, oh, well, we cast him because he's such a hot comedic actor, which is probably part of the reason, but also he comes in and he actually does something with the role. So it's also just smart casting.
Yeah. But Gina, any final thoughts on Batman Forever before we close out?
I mean, if nothing else, you got to check out that soundtrack.
Oh yeah,
because it is a very much a slice of 1995, but a lot of the songs from it I think still sound really, really good. Like the Nick Cave track on that is fantastic. I mean, I still have that on a playlist that I listen to a fair amount.
And Gina, just because Trace is so bad with music, can you remember where we would have heard that track in the film?
I believe it is actually the scene where he is designing his costume.
Okay. Yeah. It's kind of like a spoken wordy sort of like vocal fry Trace.
Yeah. I only know Kiss from a Rose because of the music video.
Okay.
Yeah, and then that's also the end credit song.
Right,
too.
that is true. Yeah. I don't like that song either, but
Oh, wow.
Aww.
no. But again, I think it's because as a kid I heard it so many times because I watched this movie so many times.
And it was ubiquitous too
God.
for
It
a
was
while at the radio.
huge.
It was a big hit.
Yeah.
It was. I think that was one of the biggest hits of '95.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if y'all remember this, but did y'all ever see that movie Ingrid Goes West with Aubrey Plaza?
No.
I have not actually, but I've heard
Really
of
good
it.
dark comedy. You should both watch it. It's a great takedown of social media addiction. But O'Shea Jackson Jr. in the movie Ice Cube's son, he is like obsessed with Batman Forever in the movie. So he's obsessed with Batman, but they wanted his character to be obsessed with Kiss from a Rose, and Seal would not give them the rights to use it in the movie.
Oh, no.
So they pick another song from the soundtrack, and I can't remember what it is, but like the Batman Forever soundtrack plays a big part in that movie.
Oh, weird. Okay.
That's
Interesting.
funny.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Great, dark, upsetting movie, but it's really funny.
Okay. I love that we exited this movie being like Jim Carrey's performance, but also here's a bunch of really fucking dark comedy suggestions that you should go and check out. So
Oh yeah, no, I absolutely recommend anybody who've not seen it yet to watch The Cable Guy.
There
Honestly,
we go.
Joe, we could probably make that a coverage thing.
Honestly, 100%,
Yeah.
because that movie, even when it came out, I remember people being like, so Jim Carrey's like gay from Matthew Broderick in this?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, and there's also I feel there's also some definitely some horror elements to it.
Well, that's what people didn't like. A lot of the people didn't like it because it was so dark at the time, and people were not expecting
and it was
that.
like, I mean, this was like, you know, the time when like Jim Carrey was known for being the guy who talked out his ass in the Ace Ventura movies, and he's terrifying.
That's fascinating.
It still made $100 million. Jesus fucking Christ! I thought this was a flop.
I mean, that's star power, baby.
Yeah, but I mean, but like compared to like how much The Mask made, you know,
right.
Like, I mean, well, that was considered like
It was a flop at the time.
yeah, it was a flop for him.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well,
Just wild. Give me $100 million flop any day, please.
we will add that to the list.
There we go. Okay.
Okay. Well, before we announce what we're covering next week, Gena, let everyone know, where can they find you, Patrick, and the show on social media?
We are the Kill by Kill podcast. You can find us on pretty much all podcast services. We have a new show every week. We also have a Patreon in which we have 3 additional shows every month. Check us out. We're going on 9 years now. So we have a very large back catalog at this point.
And where has the time gone?
I know.
2 hours at a time every week recording these episodes, right?
I think it's just because the pandemic made it feel like a chunk of time was just removed. So like 2020 doesn't feel like 5 years ago, you know?
Truly.
100%.
Yeah.
But, okay. Well, if you want to get in touch with us, you can reach us on Blue Sky and Instagram at HorrorQueers. Shoot us an email at horrorqueers@gmail.com. Find us on Letterboxd to keep track of all the films we've covered. If you want to chat with other listeners, please join our Horror Quiz Discord, link in the show notes. If you have a moment, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you want more content, please support the show by becoming a patron at patreon.com/horrorqueers. If you subscribe today, you will get 395 hours of Patreon content, including this month's new episodes on Hannibal Season 2, Episodes 5 and 6, Fear Street Prom Queen, Bring Her Back, 28 Years Later, finally, and a brand new audio commentary on Final Destination 2. And even though we're not dropping new content for our new requel tier, you can still listen to episode-by-episode recaps of Season 2 of The Last of Us. So if you missed it last month, please come binge it now.
There you go. It's all there, all at once.
All at once. But Joe, what are we covering next week?
Okay, well, you mentioned the forthcoming sequel. We do have an audio commentary on 28 Weeks Later, but we have never talked about 28 Days Later. So let's revisit the original Fast Zombies.
Yep. 28 Days Later.
Not the Sandra Bullock movie.
That's just 28 Days, which I learned.
know.
I definitely learned. And I have seen that, I think.
It's not bad. It's okay.
It's depressing.
It is.
It's got Viggo Mortensen as a sexy baseball player.
There we go. You know what? You're selling me.
Strung out Sandra Bullock in rehab for 2 long hours.
Yeah. I'll take the zombies.
Yeah, it's fine. But okay, well, I'm excited to visit that because I'm really excited for 28 Years Later. And
Yes.
shit, on that note, we can cross out Batman Forever.
Yes, and cross out Joygasm. Horror Queers.
to a typical, regular, totally average day in St. Romasville.
Hey, buddy.
What the fuck did you do to my sled?
Jeez. Oh shit, man. I apologize. The fuck? I just said I was sorry.
Oh, is that my arm?
It's a demon!
It's a fiend!
Those are the same things!
It ate a baby! It had a tail!
Yep. Sounds like ancient dust. Y'all doing a mob? We're doing a mob! Okay, fuck it. It's a mob. Herbert's room! Hunched over and bowling!
Anyone with information about this horrible creature terrorizing the citizens of St. Romasville should go to toxicavenger.com immediately. A final report on this hideous beast will be available exclusively in theaters on August 29th. That's toxicavenger.com. Please, we need your help.